Perfect. They saw us on screen all this time, and they're probably like, we can't hear you. Well, we weren't really doing anything except for setting up the screen, so don't mind us. Don't worry, we haven't started yet, okay? That's just me clicking buttons, trying to make sure our clipping was right. Having fun. All right, well, welcome everybody. Without further ado, well, welcome to Modern Day Debate. We're going to be having a discussion this evening here about... Now I got the echo coming back. We're going to be discussing, are women not held accountable today? To start us out, we have no with Cooley. So we're going to give you your 6 minutes on the floor. And thank you so much for coming to Modern Day Debate. We are ready to go.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. So do women have accountability in modernity? I would say, from a general sense, we can say there's areas where women are held accountable. If a woman commits a crime, of course, she does the time. But if we compare that to men, well, statistics show that women, for the same crime that men commit, women do less time than men. So why aren't women held accountable to the same degree that men are? That's a question there. Now, I'll say this. It's important to hold someone accountable if there's no consequences for their actions. Well, I'm sorry, it's impossible to hold someone accountable if there's no consequences for their actions. Currently, right now, we see that women have all reproductive rights in America, but there's zero accountability on the fact that we are currently below population replacement level. There's no move towards enforcing consequences, so therefore, they're not accountable to repopulate our society. Women generally receive shorter prison sentences times, like I said before. If you look at domestic violence cases, women initiate domestic violence more than men, but men are the ones that actually are held accountable more than women when they retaliate. Even when we look at child custody and child support, the courts seem to favor the women more than they do men. When most, child custody battles, women just win almost automatically. Even when the man is fighting against them, they tend to just be favored by the woman. And there's something called, it's a term, I believe it's called chivalry. I can't remember the exact word. I hear echo real quick on my end.
Oh, okay. I was going to say it might be that you have YouTube audio on.
Okay. No, okay. Actually, that echo went away.
Okay, perfect. No worries.
Yeah, that echo went away.
I'll let you carry on.
Okay, cool. So I'll just skip that part, what I was going to say there. So when we look at, even when we look at other like women in society and they're not really held accountable by other women for their own inadequacies. So we look at if a woman is fat and obese, other women still call her beautiful. And the simps still sleep with those women. So like there's no accountability to really self-improve. Those women stay fat and they stay obese, but they can still reproduce with a man. What are we all put on this planet to do? Is to reproduce. That's why we were created, why we have these reproductive organs is to reproduce. And women, there's no burden of performance for them to reproduce. They're kind of born with their sexual value. Simps to save them, and then other women will applaud them for their own inadequacies. So they're never really held accountable just from that standpoint alone. I'll go ahead and wrap it up there because I kind of want to hear my opponent's arguments and stuff like that. And I do want to give the floor to my partner, Jen. Go ahead, Jen. Take the floor. It's all yours.
All right. We will pass it on over to Jen. Thanks for having your introductory statement there, Cooley, wrapping it up nice and quick there. But yeah, I will remind everybody just right quick for the housekeeping. If it's your first time here at Modern Day Debate, we are a neutral platform hosting debates on science, politics, religion. We do hope you feel welcome. We are going to take questions at the end of this discussion. So if you have a question for any of the speakers you see on screen, get them in now. Early bird gets the worm, how it goes. I'm also going to put up a poll right quick now that I'm getting back on my A game. Thank you so much, Even Lord, for the super chat. Speaking of which, so I'm going to put up a poll and see what the demographics of the audience is right now, and then we will see what you guys think of the debate topic. So without further ado, over to you, Jen. You got 6 minutes on the floor.
Thank you so much, Ryan. Great to be here. Hi, everyone. My debate partner, Cooley, thank you. And my opponents, Lav and Dialogue, always, as well as the audience. Really happy to be here back on the channel. Love modern day debate. My background is in physics and math. That's what I went to university for. But my favorite thing to do is debate about issues that are important to people. I'm not necessarily trying to change your mind. I'll be happy if I manage to make you think of things in a slightly different and hopefully enriching way. Is my screen share working out okay, Brian?
Yep, we're up and running.
Thank you so much. So the topic of today's debate is, are women accountable? And I am taking the negative or red-pilled position on that. Throughout this exchange, I hope to clarify this position in a helpful and non-confrontational manner. Women's Accountability, Part 1 Introduction. When people hear the claim that women aren't held to the same standards as men, they often react as if it's an insult or a denial of progress. It's neither. It's an observation about how responsibility has been historically assigned and how that legacy continues to shape modern systems. Accountability isn't just about blame or punishment. It's about who absorbs consequences, who funds decisions, and who is expected to answer for outcomes. For most of history, women couldn't be held accountable because they weren't treated as legal agents. Men were responsible for them in every sense. That arrangement didn't disappear. It evolved. My aim today is not to attack women or absolve men. It's simply to trace how accountability was structured in the past, how it shifted in the modern era, and what kind of mindset we'll need if we actually want a functional future. Moving on. Why go into history? Well, it's just easy not to care about stuff that happened before you were born. And so much information, especially in the modern day with the internet, it's like, who cares to some extent, but it can be important in understanding, state of affairs and modernity that doesn't happen without that context. For most of at least European history, women were not treated as independent legal persons at all. They were closer to transferable dependents, first belonging to their fathers, then handed over to their husbands. And when someone's classified as property, not as a rights-bearing individual, society doesn't tend to hold them to accountable. Accountability goes to the owner. In ancient Rome, this was explicit under patria potestas. A woman's legal existence was absorbed into the authority of the male head of the household. She couldn't own land, testify independently, or make contracts. Marriage wasn't a partnership. It was literally a land transfer deed. That logic carried into early medieval Europe. The church reinforced this after Christianization as well. Spiritual language elevated women, but legal practice kept them fairly subordinated. Consent to marriage became a ritual, but the result stayed the same. Once married, a woman ceased to exist as her own authority and came under the dominion of her husband, just as she had once existed under the dominion of her father. Across Europe, nobles used marriage as a tool of alliance and inheritance, not as a recognition of female agency. A woman could carry lineage as a vessel, but she did not act as a sovereign subject. Even queens like Mary, Queen of Scots, inherited power only in systems that hadn't fully adopted male-only succession. But their legitimacy was constantly contested on the basis that women were exceptions to the rule, not rightful rulers. Reform didn't begin until the 19th century, when we started to run into things like suffrage. The first rights women gained were almost entirely about property, not accountability, however. The Married Women's Property Acts allowed wives to own assets and inherit, but they didn't come packaged with the same criminal, political, or civic accountability that men carried. Voting, custody, contracts, divorce rights, and legal personhood followed in fragments, usually decades apart. So what does that mean for the modern context? Today, we might like to imagine that men and women now share equal civic responsibility, but accountability didn't suddenly appear when women gained legal personhood. What actually happened is that women moved from private dependence to public dependence. Instead of a husband or father absorbing her economic and legal accountability, it was redistributed onto the state and, by extension, taxpayers, who are mostly men. This is an attack. This is not an attack on women. It's a recognition of structural reality. If you are not the one paying for the state, but you are voting to expand it, you are not being held accountable to the same degree as the person funding the consequences. The social consequences, debt, taxation, redistribution, land on a demographic that has less political representation relative to its financial burden. Moving forward. It doesn't have to stay this way, but we have to be a little bit more realistic about how we're different and how we're really
10
the
seconds.
same in a lot of ways. Which means that we have to acknowledge that the circumstances of the modern day are not the same as they've been in history, which has been circumstances of scarcity. It's now realistic that we could overcome scarcity with technology, so it's worth maybe taking a second look at how we structure society to move away from a how much can I get mentality to a how much can I contribute to the betterment of society. And I think I'm about done.
You are out of time, unfortunately, yes.
All right, thanks for listening and looking forward to the rest of the debate.
You got it. We're going to head back to the main screen, everybody. Oh, look, I'm on it now. I just need a couple fuddles here, and then I'm on my A game. All right, so we're going to kick it over to the other side to give their introductory statement. Once again, we're Modern Day Debate. Smash that like button. We're live right now. If you're not hanging out in our space right at this moment, I did put up the polls there. So 72% of our audience says that they are male, 11% say female, 2%, 3% now say other, and then 15% said I am a royal piece of work, they tell me. They just don't want to participate in regular rules, and we'll let you have it. So we're going to hand it over to the other side. Dialogue always for the affirmative. Thanks for coming out to Modern Day Debate. This is my first time hosting you. You were saying earlier you were at Modern Day Debate way back when. Do you want to let the audience know before I start your timer if you remember the topic of your last debate on Modern Day Debate?
I believe it was over, I think it was over race. I think it was a just black people type of conversation because it was with JF. So I couldn't remember what the topic was, but it was specifically over race.
All right.
So I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible because I would like to get into the actual conversation. But so I would argue that women hold the accountability that society over the years have placed upon them. You can't expect more accountability from something if you don't set parameters of what that accountability is supposed to be. For example, if you are mad that a woman is taking every, OnlyFans subscription possible to make themselves millions of dollars, you cannot place the accountability over the woman if the men are the one paying for her. The men have to take the accountability not to pay if they don't want to see that happen. If they pay for something, the market will give more and more to you. It's kind of, you can't really blame women for a society that moves in that way. If we do not, if you look at media, if you look at government, if you look at criminality, every one of these are responses to something. So women are, if you watch any media source, women are presented a specific way of how they are supposed to live, survive, and move. If they are moving that exact way and there isn't a counter to that, you cannot expect them to have more accountability than the men that write our media and tell them how they are supposed to be. That's like, again, I hope people are getting to where I'm going here. Men have to take the accountability for writing and creating the world that women are now currently in. If we want to change that society, you have to change what you respond to and what you accept. which means more and more conversations have to be a bit further than telling a woman all we want is sex, food, and, you know, peace. But peace is a list of things that you would want that is about as long as what a woman would want from you. You have to be descriptive. You have to explain what you want. If you don't take the responsibility of explaining what you want, you cannot get mad if that woman does not respond to it. I think that's pretty much my entire argument. So I can give more of my time to Lav if there's any of my time left, and I'll just leave it there.
Yeah, you have 3 minutes left, but I do want to be fair. I didn't give Jen the rest of Cooley's time, so I'll keep it at 6 if that's all right. I also don't want to put Lav on the spot there and ask for too much there when we want to get into open discussion. But I do have 6 minutes set, and if you go a little bit over, that's totally fine. Thanks for coming out to Modern Day Debate there, Lav. We're going to hand it over to you for your introductory statement, and then we'll get into the open discussion. So take it away when you're ready.
Thank you. So I thought that the topic was different than I guess it is. But also with everyone's prompts, I think that we all thought that it was different. I'm a little confused. I thought are women accountable? Like ought women to be held accountable? Which my answer was a resounding yes. But I think for the same reasons that any normal person would argue that both sexes should be held accountable, which is, I didn't really know why that was a debate anyway, because it seems like most of us probably agree with that. So I guess I'm just, I have to make a new opinion on whatever can we get a clarifier on what the actual topic is?
Sure. Yeah. So are women not held accountable today? So essentially, like socially, if something was to happen to a woman that could also happen to a man, would they be held less socially responsible or legally responsible? Based on society as we see it. So I think that's kind of where we're at, is like, is there a difference in accountability between men and women, and are women not being held accountable in the same way that men are being held accountable?
Okay, yeah. And now I have to finish the rest of the minutes that I have. And take this out of my brain. Yes, I do obviously think that there are different levels of accountability. I think that that's for certain reasons. I think that there's a reason why your car insurance premiums are higher as a man than they are as a female. I think that the risk is much greater for men than there is for women. I heard Cooley talk about divorce court. There's a reason why women mostly get custody. It's because they are a primary caregiver. It's not a reward. It's because that is sort of just circumstantial. I also think that that's probably a positive thing. And also when we talk about accountability, we can talk about colloquial accountability, and we can talk about like government accountability. I think that oftentimes a woman has to take accountability consequentially when she has children with the wrong person. When she has children and then gets divorced, she has to take on the burden of having those children most of the time, which is a actionable accountability. It's not necessarily like it's not the judge saying here you're rewarded with this accountability. It's consequence of the decisions that she makes, and I think that women often have to take accountability in real world ways, not just verbally imposed, but in you have to take accountability for sleeping around. There's a potentiality for that to harm your life in some way. The accountability of doing porn, sure, in a smaller sense, you have the power to do that, but also you have to be accountable of the consequences when it keeps you from getting a job, keeps you from getting married, keeps you from doing certain things. So I still don't understand how big and small the scope of accountability is that we're talking about, but I hope that sort of fleshes out my opinion a little bit more.
All right, sure thing. Well, we'll get into the open discussion, and hopefully that can provide a little bit more insight as to where everybody is sitting on the fence. And remember, there's room for gray area. Not everything has to be black and white. when we're having these discussions, right? There's room for great nuance. So, I get that we have our sides, but let's just try to work it out. So once again, everybody, if you're hanging out in the live chat, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, even share this out. We're live right now. That really helps us, boost us up while we are live. There's 240 watching. That's about doubled since the last introductory statement. So let's see if we can get that double before we get halftime here. So I'm going to set the timer there, guys, and I'm going to hand it back to Cooley, who started the show, to respond to some of what you just heard. Oh, you are on mute, Cooley.
Sorry about that. Let me unmute myself. So we're on Zoom right now, so it's a little bit. I never use Zoom, man, so it's new to me. Probably only used Zoom a few times in my life. But anyways, in regards to Dialogue Always point, you made an argument and you said that you think men are to blame for women's decisions for being on OnlyFans and in sex work and stuff like that. You said men are to blame because they are the ones that subscribe and purchase their stuff. Do I have your position correct?
Not to blame, but the prompt is about accountability. So I'm more along the lines of, if you're going to focus accountability on something, if you want the world to move in a certain way that you want it to move in, but you continue to pay for, support, or continue the world that you disagree with, you can't really tell it somebody else to be accountable for something or choices you're making, if that makes any sense.
Okay. I think I understand what you're saying. Let me get this clear by asking you a question, though. So, if it's the case that, like it is now, would you like, if a man subscribes to a woman's, do you think that women that sexualize themselves and basically do internet pornography, do you think that that's good for society?
No, but I don't think it's bad either. I think it's a net neutral.
I think that's a different debate topic and not necessarily has to do anything with the accountability part.
No, it has everything to do with the debate topic, because my argument is very simple and clear. And if you guys don't agree with this presupposition, you can argue me on it, though. But I think it's very clear. On a societal level, you cannot have accountability if there isn't any consequences for said actions. Meaning that if it's the case that women, like, think about it, we put consequences on the things that we deem as bad, right? So if it's the case from Dialogue Always worldview, he thinks that women on OnlyFans are sexualizing themselves, to that extent that it's neutral, it's neither good or bad, then why would you even put consequences on said thing? So I think first we need to discuss, what do you guys consider to be good and bad? So in regards to Dialogue Always, because that's your argument, basically, you said that women that are on OnlyFans, men are paying for their OnlyFans account, so they should be held accountable. I would agree and say, men should be held accountable for paying for the women's OnlyFans. We can put it can be some societal consequences on that. I would take it a step further that the creators that created the OnlyFans account, they should not be able to create something like that, right? Meaning that I would restrict platforms that, promote sexuality and basically corn, right? I would restrict those. Mm-hmm. But let's say if it's the case that you do not want to restrict that, then if you don't want to restrict it, and we live in a free marketplace, and women and men can create whatever they want to create, women can create whatever platforms they want to create, then if you think that women sexualizing themselves on OnlyFans and basically doing internet porn, if you think that is bad, it needs to be consequences on it. If you think that is good, then it makes sense that you don't think that it needs to be consequences, and it makes sense that women should not be held accountable for being on OnlyFans, for being on Pornhub and all of these other sites like that. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying here.
The reason why I called it neutral is because it can be bad in certain situations. Definitely, we've seen multiple versions of exploitation, of using like the illegalities of certain aspects of porn. It could also be seen as good, talking about safe sex, how to participate in sex in the proper way. So, since am basing it on neutral, I guess my question for you would be like a close to comparative statement. So, say,
Just to jump
say,
into, just so we don't forget your question, I would just say, just to encompass it, just because other people might be streaming in other places, just say adult entertainment. We know that it's lewd adult entertainment is what you're getting at there, guys. So I would just say like AE or adult entertainment. Just keep it easy. Everybody knows the code now. So go ahead with your question.
Sorry. So I would match it up to, say there is a neighborhood and somebody enters a neighborhood with a significant amount of capital to the point where they buy all of the properties there, raise the properties to a price where someone will either go into debt or there'll be an extreme amount of homelessness because they've involved themselves in that community, basically pricing everybody out. And because of it, homelessness skyrockets. Would you call that good or bad? Somebody doing that. And there's a reason why I'm asking this question. So hopefully you can engage with it.
All right.
You mean like
just before you jump
I'm sorry,
in,
go ahead, Ryan.
I know you're trying to get direct here, but I do want to hopefully, if you just listen to his question there, Jen, I'm not sure if you're distracted with the live chat, if you could jump in here, but I do want to let you respond there first, Cooley, but just be prepared to follow up. Go ahead, Cooley, if you'd like.
Yeah. So, I mean, dialogue always, you haven't answered my question.
I'm trying to answer your question.
Okay, but I'll go ahead and answer your question. I'll give you a bone here. I'll answer your question. You're speaking about gentrification. Do I have that correct?
No, not gentrification. I'm just saying bought up all the properties in the sense that the price goes up above the means of anybody can possibly live there. So you're just buying up properties. You've made sure the homelessness rate skyrockets. Most of the people are either in debt or just cannot live there because of the price of it. Is that bad?
Okay, so it can be bad if it results to that. If it results to that, but it doesn't always result to that.
Okay, so that's my answer to respond to you. If it results in a certain way, sure, you can call it bad, but that's why I'm calling it neutral. And that's why I'm saying, since it's a neutral act, it genuinely depends on the consumer leaning into what they want to pay for in order for it to either be regulated into a sense or eliminated if the consumer doesn't consume it. So if you're in a market, you really can't really take somebody going, okay, there is a market for this. I'm going to give them the market for this, and then go, well, it's your fault, when other people have the choice whether or not to consume it. And the people choosing not to consume it are the ones that need to hold themselves accountable for making that choice more than the person accepting the money for it.
Okay, I understand your point, but it's not analogous, and I'll explain why. What is analogous, the logical entailment of your argument is analogous. And basically, your argument is a supply and demand argument, right? Mm-hmm. So basically, women are the supply because they are the ones that's out there, doing the adult entertainment, and men are the consumers. That's the demand, right? Now, let me ask you a question. Is it harder to get rid of the demand, or is it harder to get rid of the supply? What's harder to get rid of? The demand or the supply?
Irrelevant, but I would say the supply.
Oh, no, it's not irrelevant. It is very relevant. And I'll explain. I'll make it I'll map it on for you perfectly. Men are the demand. This demand, men have this sexual craving. This is from a biological aspect, is rooted into our biology, void of moral ethics and things like that. The nature of the man is to be, sexually attracted to women. Men fall in love with their eyes, so to say. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is, since it's harder to get rid of the demand, right? But it's much easier to get rid of the supply, then we should put consequences on the supply. And women in this case is the supply, because women are the ones that are in adult entertainment. They are the ones that supplying the sexuality for the men. We can't stop men from being horny. It's hard to do it. It's very hard. It's very hard to do it. Only, we don't live in a country right now where Christianity and religion and morals are really promoted like that, right? We live in a secular country where, people are pretty much just live and let live, man. Seek pleasure and be hedonistic.
I don't know if it's hard, man, is what
I
we want to let the girls in.
I honestly want to jump in.
Comedy.
Am I coming through okay?
But you're coming through.
Real quick.
Yeah, sure.
I just wanted to land my plane on that, because I think that's a clear concession in regards to dialogue always point. His entire argument, the logical entailment of it was a supply and demand argument. He just admitted that it's much harder to get rid of the demand, so it's much easier to get rid of the supply. So therefore, we should put consequences on the supply and make women accountable.
What you're saying is, should we hold?
Hold on. I'm just gonna put the fellas on mute for a second and let the ladies in, since we just got your perspective about who is looking for the supply, if you will. So go ahead there, Jen, and I also want to let
it's fine.
Femcel
It's
also
fine.
bounce.
I don't really have much to say on this particular angle, because it kind of seems like it's presupposing Marxist metaphysics to a degree that I can't necessarily engage the way that I want to. So I do want to hand it over to Lav, and then maybe I can get to some of my comments in a little bit. Thanks so much.
I would agree with you there. When I was thinking, I was like, what about the demand for financial freedom and upward mobility and money? What about that demand? But essentially what I'm hearing Cooley say is should we hold men accountable for doing things that they really, really, really want to do? Is what I'm hearing from you, which is silly, because the answer is still yes, of course, yes. It doesn't matter the supply and demand. When you're talking about accountability, true accountability, it doesn't mean like, yeah, but they really want to do it. Like, yeah, no kidding.
Well,
Being a male makes you extremely horny and
Maybe-
really want
hold on.
something.
Well,
and
maybe-
to bounce off that, we
hold
have
on.
hundreds of biological urges
Well,
that
yes,
we
let's-
regulate every single day.
Well, before
that
we
should
start-
not be excuses for doing something else.
I'm so sorry.
Yes.
We're
Sorry,
going to
go
argue with we might be arguing with a straw man. I want to give Cooley a chance to underline why he thinks there's something morally wrong, or that or maybe it's not a moral thing, but I want to give you a chance to underline what exactly about this is wrong, because it seems like we're dancing around with the responses there about that. So let's just get clarification.
I agree. Thank you, Ryan. They're totally dancing around the responses. So I made it very clear, right? There's a clear distinction between men and women when it comes to sex. And even, we're all, I don't think anyone is a virgin here. We're all of age, right? So we know that.
Just to clarify, I wasn't accusing anybody of dancing around. I just meant that I don't think that there was clarification, and I think that's where we're getting hung up on, is whether where you find the issue with these behaviors from a moralistic standpoint.
Yep, and I'll just answer Femcel's question as well. You said that should we hold men accountable for doing the things they really want to do? Once again, even when I was explaining to Dialogue Always, I said that I would hold men accountable as well. And from my position, I think that the people that create these sites, these adult websites, I think that they should be banned, right? But
Jews?
if it's let me finish. I think that these sites should be banned, right? So meaning that I'm holding them accountable. If they still create these sites, if it's banned, they're going to be held accountable, and there's going to be consequences. They're going to go to jail or have a fine or something like that. Is going to be some type of societal consequences, right? Now, I am not excusing men from their biological proclivities. What I'm saying is men have a natural biological proclivity to be attracted to beautiful women. And if it's very easy access in online that men can just type in a button and to see this, they're very likely to pay for it. So the demand comes from this biological urge that's within a man. I do think that this biological urge can be suppressed, and I do think that men can overcome this biological urge of having some sexual temperance. I think that with morals and religion and seeking a higher power other than their own fleshful desires is the way. But currently in society, religion and morality isn't promoted. What's promoted is sexual liberation. What's promoted is do what makes you happy and live and let live. That's what's promoted. Since those are the things that's promoted in society, the only thing which dialogue always he conceded on it, it's much easier to get rid of the supply, which is women sexualizing themselves, rather than getting rid of the demand. I think we should do both, but I think we should start with the supply since that's easier, and we should put some consequences on these adult entertainers.
So
That's
what
my argument.
what would you think? What would you think that the consequences are? Because I would argue that that women suffer the most from pornography. Especially in this example. I mean, I was saying that earlier with like divorce court. But when you say like accountability and consequences, I think like we already see that women are held the most accountable with what their futures look like after pornography usually.
Yeah, so that's not, I don't consider that to be accountability. I don't consider.
Okay, so what is accountability to you?
I explained it, but I'll explain it again. I consider that to just be cause and effect, right? Accountability is something totally different. So what you're talking about is cause and effect. The woman chooses to go on go into that industry of adult entertainment, and then years later down the line, when she's past her sexual prime and she's unattractive, when she's 40 years old and she has no really
40.
sexual options, then she starts to feel that, well, no one's really attracted to me like that. I'm not getting the same sexual attention. No, that's just cause and effect. I'm speaking about, when we're speaking about accountability, my argument is having accountability is impossible if there's no consequences for said action, right? You can't be accountable if there's no consequences.
Like you think like that men should
things
give
need
them
to be enforced. The same way we have laws, right? And if people break those laws, there's consequences if you break those laws. If you run a red light, you get a ticket, got to pay a fine. You want to post some nudes and be on these Pornhub sites? Well, listen, you're going to have to pay some fines, some type of consequences are going to have to be on women to get them to stop. That's the only way we can stop the supply, right? And like Dialogue always said, it is much easier to stop the supply, but very hard to stop that demand when we're speaking about adult entertainment.
Well, wait. But that's the questionable thing about your entire framing. So you could say this about sugar, chocolate, anything that has a vice, a possible vice. That's why I gave the real estate argument. So basically, you're giving.
But I'm making a clear distinction, real quick, Dialogue, because you're straw manning.
Right.
I'm not speaking about a. I'm not speaking about a vice. Dialogue.
I literally haven't said anything yet.
Okay,
that's pretty much true.
Just speak, and then I can respond to you. Just say what you need to say. I'm sorry.
So, like, it should be either a dialogue, or we should all be able to talk for like 5+ minutes, which has been the case with my partner, and I don't feel like anyone else really got a chance. I'd rather just back and forth sort of talking, but sort of recap, hard to follow a lot of this stuff. It would be nice to get back on topic that we're establishing whether women are accountable or not in society. I am happy that we haven't evolved into a, semantic regress where it's like, what does that mean? That's good. We should be sticking to more empirical stuff. But just to come back to what I feel is closer to the topic is put it to the people on the other side of this. I remember there was an argument made about single mothers having a lot of responsibility vis-a-vis child rearing, which is a great point. And I would like to know what they both of the other debaters think the effect of getting rid of no fault divorce would be on women's accountability. Would it stay the same? Would it increase or decrease? And just before I put it over to you guys for an answer, which I'd love to hear, is I didn't get a chance to mention this during my opener, that I basically thought that the fact that we have these gigantic national debts means we're sort of borrowing from the future to fund the present, which tells me that nobody's accountable. Add to that the demographics of who's the net taxpayer versus net tax receiver would be another thing I'd love to get into after the question about what the effect of getting rid of no fault divorce would be on women's accountability. Thanks.
Let's hand it over to you, Femcel, to respond there. And I do want to get you in here, dialogue always. No offense to you, Cooley, just because we did get you a chance for you to flesh out a lot of your thoughts there. We're going to give everybody else a chance. So go ahead, Femcel, when you're ready.
I think I have a unique take on the no fault divorce thing. I think there are no solutions, only trade-offs. I think obviously no fault divorce in a lot of ways was made a woman take a lot of accountability because she could just, up and leave her life on a whim, basically. And then she'd obviously still have to take responsibility for her children. But obviously, I'm never going to make an argument against no fault divorce. So I don't. I don't even know I don't even know how to touch this.
No worries. We'll hand it over to Dialogue Always to respond to some of those points. And also, if you can bring it full circle back around, then maybe we can tie this all back into I guess the story from both sides of the sex aisle there. So go ahead when you're ready, Dialogue.
Okay. I think I kind of addressed this in my initial when I was talking about how society has responded and how women have responded to society in general. I genuinely want to get back to what Cooley said, but to answer Jen, so no fault divorce is right now the only way that certain women and certain men can leave a marriage that is toxic but doesn't have like set overwhelming destructive boundaries. Like if someone is being like verbally aggressive or something like that, but you can't really prove it. No fault divorce is really the only way to deal with that. And going through how divorce is set up, a lot of men do not fight. Some men do, a lot of men do, but in a lot of cases, a lot of men just go, well, whatever you want, I'll give you whatever you want. I'm not even going to show up to court or whatever else. So when they show, the women file for it. They put all the documentation out. They are willing to go for the lawyers. They're willing to bring the person in court. And the man does not take the responsibility of coming into the courtroom, and he loses either the children or he ends up having to pay money or anything else for it. You can't turn around and say, oh, no fault divorce is the reason for this. A lot of men aren't participating in the divorce proceedings. They're not showing up and they're not showing their side of the argument. So if you don't show up, you can't get mad for the results of it. I'm gonna stop that there. Oh, if you want me to, I can address what Cooley said, but I don't want to.
On that, I also I would again say the responsibility thing. I think that even before it gets to the point of divorce, a woman should take accountability and stake in her life and try to do as much as she can to minimize a scenario where she has to be in a divorce at all. I think that is on the woman to not go into a business decision like a marriage or having children with someone very willy-nilly. So I would, because a woman can get pregnant, I would say she has more responsibility to her children because of that, or her future, since she has more consequences and actionable accountability in the real world, not just like words like about and blame. So
Are you saying there's like a biological accountability that's inherent to childbearing?
Yes.
Interesting.
I think, well, because women have much more to stand to lose in that scenario. Because now you're raising these children for the rest of their life, the remainder of your life, and very seriously for 18 years. There's just more. I mean, we're the primary parent, so it would make sense. Also, you're potentially more responsibility since you have the womb. I would say that you have more responsibility to bring in good genetics into the world. Like it's your responsibility to choose to be a sexual selector. Female animals are the sexual selectors of most most of mammalia. So I would say that, yeah, you have more responsibility in that as well.
Yeah, that's something we didn't really get to, was like the argument for arranged marriages that sort of presupposes that women don't make great choices when
Yeah.
left to their own devices for marriage partners. So I don't know if you had any thoughts about whether that makes women more accountable or not, because I think that the question's sort of phrased in an awkward way that
Yeah.
like you can be by being there's sort of like a conservation of accountability where if you're going to be accountable to one thing, you sort of restricts how much you can give to other things.
Yeah. And then
Um,
even with Cooley talking about accountability, even with pornography, if you're trying to restrict women, wouldn't that mean that you have more responsibility as a man? You have more accountability as a man to control women? If in your worldview, you are to have dominion over women or the sex workers, wouldn't you still have more accountability because you are making the decisions?
What do you mean in my worldview that I have dominion over women? I never said that.
Well, no, in the worldview that there should be a ruling class over sex workers, just in this hypothetical, like, because obviously sex work isn't going anywhere. But like in the hypothetical where someone should be controlling this, who would
Well,
that
my
be?
argument is very simple. Our government controls many things. There's as far as just on regular TV, you can't go to a channel and watch, adult entertainment. So there's, let's say
So
access
you're
is
saying sex
restricted.
workers should be held accountable? Not, obviously it's the case that women are most of who encompasses sex workers. But that I don't think that then the debate topic is, should sex workers be held accountable, not should women be held accountable.
Well, women are the main ones that actually sell their sexuality.
Okay,
I
so
mean, some
then
men
you're
do, but it's
saying,
a very small
yeah,
minority.
so you are establishing that there is a dominion over women then.
What dominion over women?
So you're
No,
saying that there
women
are buyers,
choose.
okay, but you also, yes, but men are also, they're not selling to nobody.
It's
No.
technically a legal
So,
dominion, but this isn't really the topic of the debate.
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
no,
that's what I'm saying. This
I
is
see
gets
what she's
into,
saying. What you're saying is, well, are you saying whoever created the platforms, they should be held accountable?
well, no, I mean, I'm pretty anti-porn for the most part. I actually agree with you there, but
Yeah.
in the scope of like this of accountability, it feels like sex workers should be held. Everyone should be held accountable for porn. We've
Yeah,
completely.
so I mean, I'll make it clear my argument again in my position, because what was happening here were it's two different arguments. And thank you, Jen, because I stayed focused on dialogue always argument, which once again his argument was he thinks that, well, men should take some accountability. Men should take accountability because they're the ones that's buying these women's subscribing to their OnlyFans account and buying their adult entertainment. And then he was making a supply and demand argument. So that was that one argument. The second argument that Jen brung up It's in regards to femcel's argument, which you said that, I wrote it down because I've been active listening. You said that, well, women take accountability when they have children with the wrong man because she takes the burden of the children. This is why Jen asked her question when, well, what do you think when it comes to no fault divorce, right? So we have to ask specific questions to get specific answers. And that's what I'm doing here. So my one question would be, because I'm going to go back to the adult entertainment too, but I'm going to also make a question for the femcel's argument. For Jen's argument, basically for the no fault divorce. So first question for no fault divorce for both of my opponents: is no fault divorce good? And then the question in regards to adult entertainment. If you think it's good, then obviously you don't think women or men should be held accountable because it's good, or if it's neutral, they shouldn't be held accountable. We only hold people accountable for things that are bad. Let's stick to the topic. Accountability, it's impossible if there's no consequences. It's impossible for anyone to take accountability if there's no consequences. So therefore, why do we put consequences on things? Well, if we think it's bad. But if we have two different worldviews and the things that you think are bad, I think is good, and the things that I think is bad, you think is good, we're going to be speaking past one another. So first, just let me get these two arguments clear, these two answers. Is no fault divorce good? And is adult entertainment good?
Do you want to go or you want me to answer?
I don't think that adult entertainment is good. I think on the scale it is definitely no. I think it's mostly like, I don't think that there's a couple things. Yeah, net negative. Yes, I think that there are some things that are good about it, like a financial freedom. But no, I don't think like overarchingly.
Fast money comes with slow problems. Like they always say, fast money, slow problems. So
don't I know?
Hold on, just before you carry on there, Cooley,
sure.
Just because you have gotten a lot of the floor space here, I do want to give Dialogue always a chance to respond to that as well, or there might be a differing in view. So your thoughts about the adult entertainment industry as Cooley has described it.
Well, as I explained earlier, for me, it's a neutral, because it has elements that can be bad and elements that can be good. And because it has so many different elements, looking at it as, obviously saying that it's a bad would fall directly into your argument. And I'm seeing you as saying that it's bad. But if I see it as a net neutral, trying to regulate something that is a net neutral is in the framework of this argument saying that we have to regulate this because men are not taking accountability to challenge their own sexual proclivities, to go after or to find females to not only financially support, but to, I guess, build whatever connection is. Because if we're going to the OnlyFans argument, OnlyFans isn't just porn. OnlyFans is the girlfriend experience, trying to give yourself a false relationship and everything else. So if you're looking for that and you know it's fake, and trying to blame that on some biological proclivity as a reason why you're not taking responsibility for it, and then saying it should be regulated because I cannot be an adult and can't stop myself from, instead of trying to find it here behind a computer, going out into the world and getting that from somebody else, you've given up your argument. Your own argument is saying, well, women have to take the brunt of this because men cannot take accountability for their own actions and words.
And what about the biological proclivity to be desired? If it is the case that you have the biological proclivity to desire, wouldn't that mean that women have the biological proclivity to be desired? So do none of us have control of ourselves? Are both of us supposed to have control over these things? Hard to say.
Yeah, I'll answer that. So one, women, do women crave attention? For sure. Women do crave attention. They love attention.
Not just attention.
But do women, generally speaking, let me ask you this question just to get some understanding of your worldview themselves. Generally speaking, would you think that if women had the option, would they want attention from one man and like to be committed in a relationship with one man, like the best man, or would they want attention and to be committed in multiple relationships with multiple men? Like, do you think that women look for quality or quantity?
I think that women typically like one man.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the difference between men and women when we're speaking about the biological urges. If we ask men and we left them to their own devices, men want quantity.
Yeah. So wouldn't the
we're
natural
wired differently. So what I'm saying is this, right?
Yeah. So if you have something, that you need to curb, so if
Lev,
you have
can I challenge this just for a second? I'm so sorry.
just let me finish my thought really quick. If you have something that you need to curb, if you have a very hungry appetite, would you not then, if you have a son, would you not raise your son to say, because you have this special set of personality traits in you, it's your responsibility to make sure that your appetite is curbed, to make sure that you are making the right choices because you have this. If you have a son who's really big, really tall, and maybe predisposed to anger, would you not say it's your responsibility to take accountability for yourself in your life and to curb this in yourself, to not hit a woman because you could hurt her more?
I don't think that these things are analogous. You're making a false analogy that doesn't map one properly, and I'll explain. Once again, we're speaking about the biological differences between men and women when it comes to their
yes, but you're not a slave to your biological urge.
I never said that no one was a slave. That was never.
Well, I would say that
my mouth at all.
The amount for the women who are doing sex work are doing it because they need money. A woman is just as much a slave to her financial situation as you are to your sexuality.
Okay. So once again,
can we
men,
roll back?
They sell drugs.
Can we roll back to the initial question?
Real quick, dialogue
question,
always.
Wait,
dialogue
always.
Hold on. Let me respond to her.
Let
me respond to Femcel.
Okay. That is true. If we can keep it just to 10 seconds there, Cooley, just to like flesh it out real fast.
I'll flesh it out real quick. Yeah. Okay. So let me respond to Femcel. Femcel, we're speaking about the biological proclivities in men and women, and it's different. So you already confirmed that, well, women they look for quality, not quantity. So them creating this OnlyFans or going into adult film work, and they're seeking all of this attention, it isn't coming from a biological urge from them. But it's the
material urge to need money.
We're going to wrap this in 10 seconds. Go ahead there, Cooley, and then I want to throw it back to dialogue always to pull us back.
Yeah, the material urge to need money. Once again, there's many people. We set consequences in our society for people that need money. Oh, I need money, so I'm going to steal. Oh, I need money, so I'm going to sell drugs. There's consequences if you steal. There's consequences if you sell drugs because you need money. But there's no consequences for women doing pornography.
I do want to let dialogue back in here. So dialogue, bring us back, and if you can respond to some of where we went. That's
so first I'm going to respond to the end of what he said. There shouldn't be consequences for something that's a net neutral. But second, to go all the way back to his initial question about men wanting multiple and women only wanting one. Yes, in a relationship, men might want, or like when we're talking about carnal desires, men might want multiple women. But if we're talking about attention, and we're only talking about attention, there is a multi-billion-dollar industry that is specifically designed for women to entice people around them, even if they don't want a relationship. If you're looking at the media, if you're looking at everything directed towards women, it is designed to present an idea of a woman being desired by everybody. Even if by the end of this she chooses one person, there is a desire there. So when you're making the argument about relationships and twisting it into an argument about attention, they're not the same thing.
I didn't do that dialogue. So dialogue. Here's what I did. Let me just reply.
You absolutely did.
Let me reply to that. No, I didn't do that. You guys don't have good active listening skills. I guess you're new to debating.
Don't attack the person, attack the argument.
Here's what I did. Well, it's clear that you're not listening. Here's what I did.
It's clear.
Once again.
Hold on. We feel like there's a clarification issue. Let's let Cooley clarify his thoughts, and we'll let you respond. If you truly feel like you knocked him out of the park, then we'll let you clarify. Go ahead there, Cooley.
You made the false argument, and you already said, you conceded the point that it is easier to get rid of the supply than to get rid of the demand. When we're speaking about women, since it's easier to get rid of the supply and women are the supply for these adult film sites, it's easier to get rid of that. So that's where we should put consequences, and here's where we should hold women accountable, right? I am for also holding men accountable as well. The thing is, we're not this debate isn't about men. This debate is about women, but somehow you two keep speaking about men because you don't really think that women should be held accountable. It's something with your mind that is like, oh, well, when we're speaking about women being held accountable, well, where is men held accountable? This debate is not about men. It's about women, and women aren't being held accountable. That's the argument. So stick with the argument.
The argument is asking if women
Yes,
are
they
being.
are.
Wait.
Women are being held accountable every single.
What consequences do we have on women when it comes to both of you guys' argument when it comes to
So are you saying that there ought to be more consequences?
There's no consequences.
Like jail? Like what is it?
Hold on, guys. I want to let dialogue always in here because I did say I wanted to let him respond. And also, Femcel, you're lagging out slightly.
So you've made the claim multiple times that I have misunderstood or misrepresented your argument, but my initial argument was that the accountability has to come from what you respond to. So if you are presenting some type of if you're asking for the government to hold women accountable for something that I am arguing is a net neutral, you are asking for more accountability or you're asking for actually more responsibility from something that shouldn't have that responsibility since it's a net neutral. So the responsibility would be placed on the person responding to the net neutral to be able to set that consequence. If you don't set the consequence of, okay, if you do X, I'm not going to pay for X, that's what forces the person not to do X. But if you're going to sit here and say, well, my biological imperative tells me that I have no self-control, so I don't have to do this, that's where the comparison ensues. Because you can't say, hey, women are not being held accountable for X, but that's also because we're not going to look on the other side of X.
All right, Jennifer
that's
also
ridiculous.
wanted to jump in here as well, so I want to hand it over to you, Jen, if you had some thoughts here on everything that's being said on floor. I also want to remind our audience, as David Colton 3178 has done, we are taking super chats here shortly. We've been going for about an hour, so just hold the line there, Jen. I will let the audience know we will move into super chats probably in about 20 odd minutes. So yeah, get your super chats in. We'll ask those questions as they come. Go ahead, Jen, when you're ready.
Okay, well, I feel like a lot of this has centered around the commercial sex industry, which, while interesting, I feel kind of that's a minority of women who are engaged in that kind of work. So my question would be, I guess I'm looking for what's the error in my logic to say, like, we have a national debt, so that means that on some level, civilizationally at least, we're not accountable. Because if we were, then the national debt would be zero. Okay, so that's the first part. And then the other part is, aggregate wise, on the whole, men are taxpayers and women are welfare recipients. So how is that not a lack of accountability for women? Either Dialogue are Always or Orlav, feel free to take it away. And thanks again, everyone, for being part of the show, and looking forward to answering what I'm sure will be extremely intelligent and deep metaphysical questions from the audience at the end.
Did you just
I think
just
that
flame our
that
audience?
is a really good point.
All right, don't take it too. Yeah, don't cry too much in the audience there. Let's try to carry on though. We got a few more few more arguments. Maybe we can unpack. I know we talked about accountability for children, societal expectations and stuff like that. I don't know if you guys wanted to maybe explore that a little bit longer, but we have talked about. And I know that you've gotten a little chance to flesh this out there, Cooley. We have talked about kind of where we're at, and you have said about how there has to be accountability. So maybe for the last little bit here, we can talk about what that accountability might look like. So we're already here. We're in this situation. We have the OnlyFans people. I think Femcell needs to drop out because of the internet there. So I am going to hand it back to you, Cooley, though, so you can try to specify a little bit as to where you think we should go from here in your view. If this is truly an issue, what will we do to solve it going forward?
Yeah, and I'll make it clear. This is a response to dialogue always argument. This was not my argument to even speak about adult entertainment. This was his actual argument, and he was basically making the supply and demand argument, and I was responding to it. But I'll go ahead and give a prescription in regards to why I think that it is not neutral, like dialogue always says. I think that adult entertainment is a net negative. It's bad, and a prescription on what we can do to hold women accountable would be to one. I would hold men and women accountable in regards to this, though. So we ban many sites. Like, you can't get on certain sites. Like, some of these sites is in the black market, right? If you want to look at children things, you got to go like to some backdoor back market stuff. I don't know what these weirdos do, but they do some backdoor stuff, right? So I would make it totally illegal. Just like it's basically you go to jail or you get a fine. I think you get jail time if you're caught looking at child pornography. This would be the same thing, right? We already have consequences for that, right? It would be that same thing if you get caught looking at porn of women. For men, is consequences. Okay. If the women is participating in creating this stuff and they're uploading it, it's consequences for those women, it's consequences for those companies. It will be fines, it will be jail time, it will be we'll treat it just like the child pornography.
All right. I think that leaves us with something to chew into. So it does sound like everybody would be held accountable based on your prescription. But yes, you are back. So okay. What Cooley has just said there is basically that you would look at potential imprisonment. I don't know if you caught all that. Potential imprisonment for people that participated in the industry.
Send them to jail. Stone them to death. But what I actually, Jen said something earlier that I thought was really interesting that I think is way more interesting to talk about, which is that women are receivers of welfare and men are payers of welfare. And I think that we see that even on a smaller scale in marriage, right? Which is what I think this all comes down to what you prescribe for society, what your worldview is. If you take on a traditional view of the nuclear family and that men are to hold dominion over women, which I would say that I subscribe to, you would agree that a lot of welfare was created, divorce, alimony was created to protect women against what could go wrong in the traditional nuclear family. It wasn't really, I don't know if you have a prescription for society that things should be more modernized and that men and women should be more equal, then of course women would have more accountability because they're just as responsible as any man would be. My argument would be that no, I don't think so, because I believe that men should have more responsibility, should have more dominion. It makes sense that women are the welfare recipients because they make less money, because they leave the workplace to have children. So in that case, then I also believe that men should be more accountable. So I think that a feminazi who that thinks that men are bad and below women, I think comes to the same place as I do, but for different reasons. But yeah, I really do believe that women should be cushioned in the case of the nuclear traditional family.
Are you perhaps saying that dominion is a trade-off for accountability?
Not necessarily a trade-off, just a natural. I don't even think I don't think that I think accountability is a natural trade-off for dominion, not the other way around.
Interesting.
Yeah, but do you hold your children accountable for things that they don't have control over? No. I think it's the same thing with women. But I think if you're in a relationship where you guys are equals and you are not a stay-at-home mom and you're not having children, then you play it by different rules.
Yeah, exactly. It's basically down to a question of like how much distance is there between the woman as such and a child.
Yeah.
To which we, quite reasonably ascribe a lower degree of agency.
Yeah. Yeah. So it depends on your worldview. Do you think that are you in a more modern or traditional or I think it depends literally just based on that.
So just because you take on a more traditional worldview, and Femcel, you said that you take more of a traditional worldview?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's something called chivalry paternalism theory. You ever heard of that?
Yes.
And the chivalry paternalism theory basically argues that, well, some people, they think that the people that adopt the mindset of being more traditional and, basically women are the weaker sex, so women should be coddled and protected and taken care of. Therefore, women should get shorter jail sentences times if they commit the same crime. Therefore,
well, I would also I would fight you on that as well, because oftentimes women do not commit the same crimes for the same reasons. And definitely at a lesser rate. So when you're trying to curb things in a population, you would give them harsher consequences. Because a man is more likely to kill, he gets a harder sentence. And also women are less likely to kill for gang violence or just for the sheer sport of it than men are. Women are more likely to kill people who have raped them, their abuser, someone who prostitute who is killing their John. Like it's different reasons, which would make sense why there are different consequences.
No, that doesn't actually make any sense. I'll explain it to you. Okay. So that's very nonsensical. So if me and you do the same crime and we have different reasons, let's say that I walk into someone's house and I go ahead and kill the whole family. You walk into someone's house and you go ahead and kill the whole family. My reason behind killing the whole family was I didn't, you know what? I just didn't, they was in a house that I wanted. I killed them because they was in a house that I wanted. Your reason, you're a racist. I killed them because, I'm racist and all those black people needed to die. Okay. Right? We would still the time would still be different, not because of the reason. The time would be different because you're a woman and I'm a man. This is what.
But you realize, I don't know if you have any
statistics show that when men and women commit the same crime, they don't do the same time. The reason doesn't matter, right?
Because when you map it on,
listen, time out. If you map it onto men and women, if we map it onto men and men, it doesn't matter the reason. They tend to do the same time.
All right, I have a stat I want to share,
true,
but
actually.
Let's let Femcel respond.
So people actually get different jail sentences. I don't know if you have any proximity to like criminal justice or whatever, but there are actually, have you heard of like degrees, like different degrees of felonies? People actually get time dependent on motive all the time and pretty exclusively. So if your intention to the crime actually does matter. That's why there's first, second, third felonies for things like murder. You could go to jail for killing someone for your life, or you could go to jail, or you could not get jail time for killing someone at all, or just go for 5 years or 10 years or things like that all the time. That's actually how the criminal justice system works.
I think you're misunderstanding me, though. I know that there's differences in sentences on, that's when it's different crimes. I'm speaking about the same crime. And if we go to
But
the
different
reason,
intentions, right?
even if, once again, it's hard to know what the intent is. This is what a lot of the times they don't find out what the intent is until after they already was convicted and they already was sentenced. They figure out unless when a person is honest after 20 years in prison, like, yeah, my real intent was because of X, Y, Z. They don't
Sure.
always figure out. So that's just a lie, right? We don't know the intent of what's going on in people's minds because we are not mind readers. The only way we can know the intent if someone comes clean and they're honest, right? That's the only way we truly know the intent. With that being said, when you made the claim that, well, it depends on the reason, I'm telling you that that's nonsensical because it doesn't matter the reason. If we actually do the same crime, we know that there's a disparity of doing the same time when it comes to men and women.
So you're literally making an argument against mens reis. So
no, I'm not. What I'm making the argument against. Here's my argument. You're like straw man in it.
Real quick,
you're already about to do it.
Hold on. Let's let you frame it real quick. If you feel like he's about to straw man, as I do want to let dialogue always in here. Yeah, you did have the floor for a bit. So if you feel like it's going to be a straw man, let's clarify. 10 seconds, and we'll hand the floor.
Yeah, no, I'll actually let him see. I'll correct him after he's wrong because basically I know where he's going. Go ahead, dialogue always.
Okay, so when she was asking you about the severity and how an intent matters, what she's talking about is mens reis. She's literally saying that, yes, if someone goes into a bank in order to rob somebody and steal their money and kill someone, and then someone else kills someone in an argument, and then someone else has a plan and kills somebody. Each one of those are different severities based off of how mens reis is set up. So if you're looking at a lot of these arguments, yes, they are all murder, but the reason why somebody would get a longer sentence than somebody else is based off how the court determines their intent and what their end result is. And so, because the court determines that, what also factors in is the likelihood that you'll do it again, the likelihood that you'll be a problem to society, or the likelihood that you actually have remorse or you'll actually feel the consequences of your actions, which is why women are given multiple chances and given shorter sentences, because the mens reis of many of their crimes are seen as this might not happen multiple times as much as it is with men.
Right.
That's the argument I may be wrong, but
no,
I
that
that's
is the argument
that you're making.
Just to add on too, because we're talking a lot about conviction, when I looked it up right quick, and everybody else can look this up too, it does say that men are 26 times more likely than women to die from state violence, like a police altercation, though they do commit, based on these same stats, 81% of violent crime. So I'll let you have a chance to respond to that. Their dialogue always in accordance to why there's a disparity potentially there in not just prosecution of crimes, but before we even get to that point of why there might be more violence that's being dealt out by the state against men.
Yeah. So I mean that's my response to just kind of clarify what she is saying to you and why the courts might show that big of a disparity against female crimes versus male crimes. On top of my initial argument from the very beginning was the way that we're going to respond to this is, or the way we're supposed to fix many of these issues is based off of male response to these actions. If we do not show in every single aspect what we agree with, what we don't agree with our time, with our money, with our energy, with our effort, sitting here and asking us to regulate every single thing that we feel might be a consequence to ourselves is leaning us into an authoritarian worldview.
Can I just get a clarification real quick? I'm having trouble understanding. I just need a clarification. Is the argument that, and forgive me if I'm wrong here, but is the argument that women have less criminal consequences because there's less mens rea because they're statistically less likely to commit crimes?
not just statistically, but a lot of the crimes that you would see, like a lot of their murders or whatever else, would be interpersonal, basically like inside of the family or their husbands or whatever, or stuff like that. So it's very rare. Because it's very rare, courts will take that into account of whether or not each individual case, if they would see her committing the
So
same
like
crime
for example, if we're talking about like killing your children, so like a lot of men kill their children because they want to leave their family, because they don't want to divorce their wife. They don't want to have to pay alimony to their wife if they end up divorcing. A lot of reasons why women end up killing their children are, certainly there are women who go crazy and who are psychopaths or whatever, but a lot of reason for that is because of like postpartum psychosis. So something that's not necessarily like in their control, which is why their sentence would look different. They're still going to jail for probably the remainder of their life, or if not 20 years or more, but it is a little different. The same thing is like if a woman kills someone, it's more likely to be her abuser, her John, something like that. A man is more likely to kill due to like gang violence. So even though it looks the same on paper, like you're still murdering someone, it is different. Oftentimes when a woman kills someone out of cold blood, they plan to murder, they go to jail for the same amount of time that a man would do for the same thing. But it matters. Intent matters. The degree of the felony matters. The type of murder matters. And a woman is just less likely. We have. I don't know what the stats are on men and women going to jail for exactly the same murder. Like if they both were doing it cold blooded. Gang violence. I'm sure it's probably the same.
Yeah, so let me just clear the air on a few things. So it is not the same. If you look at the stats show clear, and you can just Google it. Google gives you the information and it explains it. I'm not sure how you guys don't have this information. It just took me a quick Google. I'm not the smartest cookie in a jar, right? Google helps me out, right? And I came prepared via Google. So it shows that and so when you're looking at why women get shorter time sentences when it comes to when they commit the same exact crime. I know that there's different types of murder, like premeditated murder. That's when you're actually like thinking like, oh, I'm going to do this and then do that and do it. Or if you murder someone based off of a car accident, you killed someone while you were drunk driving or something. There's many different levels of murder, right? Dialogue always, and FemCell, pay attention to this. We get that part of it. I'm speaking about when they do the exact same crime, they don't get the exact same time. And my argument for you, FemCell, you seem to have this, well, women should be the protected class. And, I have this traditional mindset and stuff like this. So we should be protected since we're the weaker vessel. This is why I asked you, do you know what chivalry and paternalism theory is? Because the people, this mental concept is the reason why they prescribe a lesser time to women when they do the same time. And this mental concept of chivalry and paternalism is simp feminist propaganda. That's all it is.
I don't think that that's true.
I
looked up the research findings. Studies from the U.S. Sentencing Commission and academic research show women receive on average
I can prove it to you. You cut me off while I'm speaking to you.
Like, you've spoke about pushing forth my argument. 2/3 of this debate.
That might be fair, Jen.
I haven't.
All right. To be fair, you have had quite.
Chilling and letting people speak.
To be fair, you have had quite a bit of the floor time there, Cooley. But let's see if you can wrap this up. I hate to put you on the spot, but if you can wrap up your thought in like 10 seconds and let Jen respond. Because she is your partner as well, and I know she wants to add on and maybe even contend with maybe a lack of nuance or maybe too much. I don't know. Let's let her decide. But go ahead there, Cooley. Let's do 10 seconds if we can.
Yeah, I just wanted to wrap this up by saying the argument is very clear. And it even says this, the studies even show it. The reason why women get less time in courts and things like that for the same crime is due to this theory that's called chivalry and paternalism theory that's based off of these simps in court and these women that just want to take advantage of the system. They think that, well, I'm the weaker vessel, so I should be privileged. And these simps think that, well, let's hold women on a pedestal and protect them. In my worldview, men and women have agency, right? They have agency.
Let's let Jen,
except for men.
let's
No,
let Jen
men
in
and
here as
So-
well. So Jen, you
so-
wanted to engage as well with that point, so I do want to get Jen in here, guys. I think, to be fair, I think Jen, if we're talking about who's had the floor time, I think Jen has had the least floor time, so let's
Oh,
be
that's
fair.
that's fine. It's nice to hear what kind of arguments people are making and what people are interested in. Because this debate, like, I've never debated this before, and I don't know if anyone else on the panel has. Like, and I sort of stayed away from the topic because I don't see the point of unnecessarily inflaming tensions. But in this case, like, I think we actually did get to some good points, and it was interesting. I would have liked to see us maybe stay on the main topic a little more and digress into anecdotes a little bit less, but hopefully we'll have a chance to have some more debates in the future and work towards that. I'm going to be having a post stream with my streaming partner Duvid. He's in the chat, D4Os VID. Check out the channel after this one. We're going to go into this debate and probably have some comments on a couple of other debates. If you're interested in the technical side of things, please join us. And yeah, I'm not sure exactly what else I can say on this other than I hope that I've given people a few things to think about and that you're not more angry and resentful than you were at the beginning of this debate. And maybe now you see, oh, I can actually have a better, more positive outlook on life because I gained this new information. Looking forward to answering the audience's questions.
All right. Maybe we should move into the audience
If I may,
chat.
just quickly.
No. All right. Yeah, for sure. I was going to say,
Thank you.
unless we have any other thoughts.
Because
Go ahead.
I did Google. I just actually heard of Google. Cooley told me about it. I'd never heard of it before, and I did use it.
Fascinating,
And
right?
it said studies from the U.S. Sentencing Commission and academic research show that women receive on average about 25 to 35 shorter prison terms. But in that same paper, it says that the difference is explained by factors like women having fewer prior convictions. Judges perceiving them as less dangerous or more likely to be primary caregivers, which I think goes into the theorem that Cooley was talking about. But also, we have to acknowledge why that's there. It is true that men commit more murder. It's true that they commit them for different reasons, right? Women are way less likely to get into turf wars. Women are more likely to commit crimes in first degree felonies, right? Like they're less violent crime by a billion, like not by a billion percent. I'm obviously being hyperbolic, but they're way less likely to commit violent crime in general. So yeah, there is a reason why. I don't think it's because there are simps in the courtroom or because women are ontologically evil and they're getting away with it. I think it's informed on the material reality of the world.
I think in the West, based here, it's like 2 to 98%
Yeah.
on the overall statistics.
Yes.
So I mean, you can, like I say, we can always talk about why that might be the way it is, or that might be why the stats are being reported the way they are. I think we have gotten into that enough for the evening. So
Yeah.
let's move into the super chats if everybody is good with it. There's going to be a lot more opportunity to unpack. The audience, of course, let's just do our quick little housekeeping and get my mic. Come here, you stupid mic stand. Darn thing's not working right. All right. So we're going to go into the super chats. We're going to talk to you, the audience. We're going to answer your questions. So if you have a question, put it into a super chat and we will get it read out. We are Modern Day Debate. We're live right now. So if you're hanging out in the live chat, we see you. It's good to see. We got, over 300 people still hanging out in the live chat. We could be doing better. So share this out in the spaces you like having these debates. We're talking about accountability for women in the modern age. And if there's a disparity, essentially is where our conversation has gone. So without further ado, let's get up there. We're going to ask that first super chat, and thank you to our panel. Actually, just right quick, just because I'm courteous like that, it's my Canadian nature. Anybody on the panel need to step out right quick? I mean, I do it liberally sometimes, but if anybody wants to step out right quick, speak now or forever hold your pee. All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna just grab another bottle of water real quick. But
You heard me say forever. You were like, no, I can't do it
no,
forever.
I have myself on mute, so I'm gonna grab a quick bottle of water. I'll be right back.
All right. Well, you hear it, panel. Go ahead there, Cooley. If Cooley's going to take a second, so if you guys want to just step out for a second, even just stretch your legs, that's totally fine. I can do some housekeeping, and yeah, it looks like
I'll go
everybody's
get water also.
awesome. All right. Well, looks like Dialogue always has a well-installed catheter. It doesn't have to go. You don't have to go anywhere, right? That's great. So thank you to our live audience for hanging out. We appreciate you. Everybody who smashed the like button, we've already we well surpassed what we had the last time I was hosting. So that's great. I really appreciate it. Keep smashing the like button. Try to boost us up in the algorithm while we're still live and taking your questions. Because we do appreciate hearing from the audience, whether you just want to hang out and say, I really appreciate what this person had to say. Or if you want to just cry poo-poos and say, I can't stand this moderator, Ryan, big POS. Anyway, you choose how you want to cry in the live chat. I'll dry your tears. Do my best anyways. I got 2 kids, so I'm used to it. Oh man, we did talk about kids quite a bit. I always feel like, oh yeah, I have a stake here, but no, I'm just gonna be quiet because that's my job. Yeah, thank you, MXXD. Reminder to update the links in the description when you can, please. Well, maybe I should grab my phone after I read out this first super chat, Max, and see if you messaged me. I'm not going to sing you guys a song, even though I am a singer, if anybody understands that reference. It's Heaven and Hell, Black Sabbath. Anyway, all right, we got all our speakers back. That's great. I'm going to go check my phone in a second here, but I'm going to read that first super chat just to get us off and running. Thank you so much. Well, how do you say your name? Hypogamus says, totally vaporize that like button, fam. Yeah, just blast it. Completely obliterate it. I heard it's 92% THC. Canadian would say that, right? All right. Even Lord, first super chat here, guys, says, Mr. Cooley has the making of a varsity athlete, unlike that schmuck Tony Soprano, the head of the glorified crew in New Jersey. Good to see you, Ryan. Who are these people? I don't know what that's about. Or should I say a boot? I'm conscious of that sometimes. So there's been a few people picking on me. They're like, say a boot again. Well, guess what? That's just the way we talk up here, you curs. All right. We'll carry on because I don't think there's too much there. Even Lord says, Middle Ages is better than medieval or dark ages. Sure, I'm not sure what we're getting at there, but we do appreciate your support and your super chat. I'm reading them. Big League Drew, I remember this coming in right at the end of your introductory statement. Maybe you'd like to say something to them there, Femcell, or also Lav on the screen this evening at Modern Day Debate. We appreciate you being there. Big Drew said at the end of your introduction, typical woman. You're on mute. I take it you weren't going for charming this evening, were you, Big League Drew? They say typical woman.
That's absolutely true.
Oh man, I might understand why your dating life might be going the way it is there, Big League Drew. Oh no, I probably set him off in the live chat. I'm sure it's fine. All right. Big League Drew follows up and says, if women are held to account, why do they get less severe punishment for the same crimes when compared to men statistically? And I think even just before we just finished talking about this,
Yes.
but one thing that we didn't really talk about was the stat that I did bring up, which is that men are 99% more likely to get shot. I know that you did kind of touch a little bit there, Femcell, on the types of altercations that people are having, maybe certain aggression during those altercations, but maybe we can expand a little bit about we all agreed about the statistic there that on average 80% of men are committing those crimes. I don't know if that's disputed. That's what I looked up here. But why is it 99% are being shot in these altercations?
Well, if a Rottweiler's coming at you and if a Pomeranian's coming at you, are you going to shoot both of them at the same speed? Probably not.
All right, let's hand it to the other side. Do you think that's a fair summarization?
I mean, I don't want to take over too much. I'll let Jen, you could give a response. Jen, go ahead.
I wasn't listening. Sorry. I didn't think the question was directed toward us.
I think it's okay, Cooley. Well, I think you've done a great job. I'm so sorry if you feel like I was picking on you there, but no, you've done a great job of, I think, outlining your side of the argument. So yeah, if you can respond there, Pomeranian versus, like a pit bull or a Rottweiler coming at you, and why we have even this statistic disparity before we even get to the courts. Somebody's having an autopsy. So where are we at with that, and what FemCell kind of had to say to summarize that?
Yeah, I mean, I understand her, example of speaking about a more dangerous creature coming at you than, a less dangerous creature coming at you. So you're more likely to, act with greater instincts or faster instincts to say. So it's no disagreement on that. I would just expound more, but I'm sure we'll get more into this after you're done with the chats anyway. So I'll just, hold my thoughts until, it's time to get back into debate.
No worries. Well, there will be lots of opportunity as we move through these super chats. So yeah, if you're hanging out in the live chat, you heard something that was mentioned during the discussion. I should say there's a lot of thoughts as we have a lot of super chats. So keep them coming in. Smash the like button. We appreciate all of you hanging out in the live chat and also putting in these questions, and our panel appreciates it as well. If we do go into overtime and anybody has to step out, no hard feelings. But you've let down your partner and you will forever be ashamed. Just joking. Nominal 5583 says, can we hear some more Jennifer or nah? So you have a fan there, Nominal, who feels like we didn't get to hear enough from you.
Hi, thanks. Yeah, I appreciate it. I like to go into long digressions, and I know with these, debates, it's I do like to kind of cede the floor and listen to what the other debaters are saying, because I'm just so much more on the technical side that this is a lot more exciting and emotional and whatnot. So come on over to the after show on Duvid's channel if you want to hear me talk some more and explain and actually get through my argument. I'll be there shortly.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you coming out to Modern Day Debate, and hopefully if you guys enjoyed what you heard from Jennifer, maybe you'll join her there. I do know that our beloved moderator Max is going to be hanging out in his own space as well, doing yerba mate. I almost said the old channel, Max. My goodness, I would have been in some trouble. I'm like, what's wrong with you? But yeah, thank you to our moderators in the live chat. We appreciate you as well. I think it's just been Max, so we'll just say thanks, Max. Let's see. Nominal 5583 says, I wonder, can we hear some more Jennifer or not? And they says, I wonder if Jennifer had anything to say to that. I guess not. So I guess you tried to jump in there, and Nominal also felt like you got snuffed out maybe. But we did try, or at least I did.
Well, it was really hard to see the connection between the 80% of the violent crime is done by men. I didn't see how that translated to female accountability. Because I lost track of the presupposition chain. Like, are we presupposing some kind of abstract moral good, or like, are we deferring to the state as the basis of authority? This is exactly what I didn't want to get on. So I'm going to mute right now.
You heard it. All right. Well, I figured, Jed, just because we went down that path, it was fair to bring up. Now I'm in trouble. See, Jen's mad at me. She's like, why'd you do this, Ryan? All right. David Colton says, isn't everyone held accountable by the consequences of their actions, which is a law of nature? Karma? ? What would regulation add to laws of nature?
Okay, it adds order. So order, that's what it adds. So the law of nature, that's a silly super chat. The nature of a man, void of any moral grounding, is to have his sex with as many women as he wants, to engage in polygamy. And if someone gets him mad, kill that guy. That's the nature of a man. To eat as much food as you want. The nature of human beings is pleasure seeking. So we need some law and order to, ground us, to put consequences on our actions when we're just acting out in only our nature.
So wait, with that, do you think that, like, what do you think should happen to men who step outside of their marriage?
Well, from my worldview, as far as Christian ethics, if you commit adultery, that's a sin.
Well, sure, but we need order. We need order, though, like actual consequences.
It would be consequences via the church. And if the church has any power, like under my worldview, like if I'm just for my prescription, there would be consequences, meaning that, it would be social shame. It would be he'll have to pay a fine to maybe the family or to something like that. It would be some type of consequences so they do not commit adultery. Yeah.
But social shame is what you said wasn't enough for sex workers. So I'm confused on how that's
that
enough.
Was my entire argument too.
No, I've never said social shame wasn't enough. You said
they should go to jail. You don't think that men who step out on their marriage should go to jail?
Well, I never said that women that do sex work should go to jail. I was giving different examples of consequences where it could be jail, it could be a fine, it could be many different things. When we're speaking about social shame tends to work when you have this, maybe religion or this morality that's grounded within the media space where they're going to shame you and your family is going to shame you. But I mean, most of these girls that's in sex work aren't getting shamed.
Yes, they are. They have the highest suicide rate of any profession ever. People treat them. You don't get jobs anymore. You won't get married and have children anymore. Your life after that's completely obliterated.
Well, that's one side of it. I would say that there's a lot of praise to do it. A lot of women actually praise these women and they say, oh, go ahead, girl, get the bag. You making money. You even said it yourself. Well, one of the incentives for making the OnlyFans is for money, right? So you yourself you didn't even look at shame. You're looking like, well, they need to go ahead and get the bag. Go ahead and get the bag, girl.
I mean, I look
you
at
yourself
both.
Said that.
I didn't say they have to go and get the bag. I'm saying that there are the reasons why women do that is because of that. I didn't say go get the bag. I'm anti-porn.
Your justification to why they were doing it is to go get the bag. You never demonized it. You said that, well, they need to go ahead and make the money. It could be good for the economy. I didn't say it would be good for the economy.
I said if a lot of women go into sex work because they would be completely destitute otherwise.
They wouldn't be destitute
Yes, they would. A lot of who goes into sex work generally, not just OnlyFans, but sex work generally, are people who like women who have felony cases, women who can't get normal jobs, women who can't work all the hours because they're single mothers. Like, that's who goes into sex work.
Okay. Men, there's really not an industry from a general sense, like very small percentage of an industry that men can actually make a living off of sex work, right? But men, they're not afforded that same privilege to sell their sexuality like women are, and they do just fine.
Oh God,
they do just fine by privilege, I mean that there's a market for it, right? In society, there's a market for women to sell their sexuality where they can make some money. For men, they're not afforded that same market. That's what I'm saying. So if it's the case that a man can go out there and not sell his body, but he has a felony, but he can still create a business and do some things and work multiple other small jobs to still support himself and his family. Why can't women do it?
Because they don't have the same set of circumstances, because women are often raising children.
They're not held accountable.
No, it's because they're often raising children. It's hard to be a full-time mother and primary parent and then also start a business.
Now you're making an excuse for women.
That's not an excuse. That's a reason.
To make children. No, it takes
How many single fathers have businesses?
It takes two to make children. It takes two to make children. So
Yes,
women should
but
take
Yes, but men
accountability
do
for
not
making
raise
that child.
Okay, then men should take more accountability raising children because
No,
they're
men
often
men do want to raise children. Women are the ones.
No, they
Women
want to go
initiate
to work.
70
They
to
don't
80.
want to be primary
Stop it.
parents.
Women initiate 70 to 80% of the divorces. That's just a lie. It's women that's the ones
That
that's
doesn't-
kicking the man out
Okay,
of the
wait,
home.
wait, wait, wait.
It's not
Okay,
the
can we-
man
have
leaving the
anything to
home.
do with
can we-
primary
Right,
caregiving.
we definitely
Men are
can. We're definitely
men are
going
the ones
to.
that's abandoning
Can
their
I take
children.
a swipe
No,
at that
you
one
guys.
statistic because
Everybody's
it's
just gonna
absolutely
sit on
amusing.
mute for a second. Go ahead, there, dialogue. Always, it's your first time here during the Q&A. Go ahead.
So just to take a swipe at that, women do 80% of the divorces argument. That is a statistic saying women do 80% of the files for divorce. That doesn't mean that women are accountable for the decisions to divorce. It just means they took the paperwork, they brought the paperwork in, they made sure that like the courts understood that they wanted to break up and everything else. But that could be all sorts of issues, like the man has already defunct his responsibilities and left the home. The man has, like, deciding who makes the decision to divorce doesn't say who is at fault at divorce, who created the conditions for the divorce, or anything else. It's a useless statistic. It just means who filed. I'm sorry. I was just wondering.
And also, no men are filing. Virtually, very small amounts of men are filing to be the primary custodian of their children. Like, no man is saying that they want to do that.
Yeah,
So
no, it's just false. And what dialogue always said, that's what you said was dumb. Once again, don't be sensitive. I'm not calling you dumb, but what you said was dumb, and I'll explain. You said that, well, women aren't the ones to blame. So if you look at the statistics, it shows that about 48 to 50% of marriages, or 55% of marriages, around 48 to 55% of marriages end in divorce. Women are the ones that initiate those divorces generally. They initiate around 70 to 80% of those divorces. He said that, well, women aren't the ones to blame for initiating to divorcing the man. They're the ones that just
you're not understanding.
They'll stop.
Hey, Jen, can you give me a second? Just unmute yourself and let him know what I actually said, please.
That is dumb. That is the stupidest argument I've
That's
ever
not what
heard.
I said.
That's
Obviously,
what you
it's stupid
said.
because that's not what I said.
All right, let's
You
see.
just said that they filed the paperwork. They're the ones that.
Yes.
They're
All right,
the
hold on,
ones that is breaking up the homes.
Hold on.
Wait.
Earlier, hold on. I know you're feeling pretty passionate about this one, but earlier when you felt he was strawmanning you, I gave you the floor, so he feels like you're not fairly representing his argument. So I don't want you to go down a rabbit hole potentially, and him just say, "Oh, you strawman me," and then just repeat what exactly you were going to respond to anyway. So
I did not say that women are not at fault for going for 80% of the divorces. What I'm saying is that 80% divorce is a useless stat because the stat only points to who files. It doesn't explain why the divorce happened. The reason why the divorce happened is a more intricate argument that has multiple different points to it because there are multiple different reasons why people get divorced.
You're moving the goalpost. The argument wasn't why the divorce happened. The argument was who has the ability to weather the storm. Men are staying in relationships and women are always looking to leave relationships. The argument is who's willing to weather.
No, honestly, I agree. Women are
willing to
ontologically
stay?
evil and men actually are closer to God. I completely agree with his argument.
Men are more loyal than women. They suffer in sexless marriages.
So true. That's so true. I think that women are evil. Yeah, I agree.
Wait, whether
I don't think that they're evil. That's not my point.
You're making if you're not understanding. If a woman is being like beat up by her husband, is it her fault for not enduring?
Okay, so we can speak about the exceptions to the rule. So if it's the case
what verbal abuse? What if he doesn't make enough money to support them and she wants to raise her children?
Most of the divorces, they file for irreconcilable differences.
Yes.
I think that's the word. I probably said it wrong, but that's the reason why they file. And that basically just means, well, the relationship isn't going how we planned it or how I want or how I feel, so I'm going to divorce this man.
That's not what it means. That's not what that means.
I mean, if you want to, it peels the layer back to that. If you want to speak about the exception, well, then prove me wrong instead of saying no, it doesn't. If you want to speak about the exception,
it's impossible to do that.
It's not impossible.
It's just as impossible to make our point on that than it is for you to make your point.
No, I'm actually
making. There's no way to get that statistic.
I'm actually refuting your point. Well, answering your point when you spoke about the exception. The exception is if it's the case that a woman is physically abused, should she divorce the man? Yeah, I agree that, no human being should stay in a relationship where the woman is being physically abused. Right. I don't think that that's a good, healthy relationship, but that's just an exception to the rule. Many divorces, the reason isn't because of the man is physically abusing her. That's all I'm saying.
Well, irreconcilable differences could also mean that he cheated. That could mean that that's often what it means, is that he cheated and that she doesn't want to be with him anymore.
Verbal abuse, financial abuse, the inability to coalesce on taking care of the child.
This is a lot of this is womenese. A lot of this is womenese when women just really don't like the man like that.
True.
That is a
okay, and I'll go ahead and explain.
That's an amazing presupposition.
Well, I'll go ahead and explain since we're going to speak about this. So let's go with what's the first one you said there? Dialogue always.
Wait, so why are women more likely to bring their husband to therapy?
Let me ask them the question. Well, therapy benefits the women. It really doesn't benefit the men. Right. Yeah. If you sit in front of a shrink, speak about feelings.
Well, marriage primary benefits the woman, does it not?
It benefits society.
Well, okay, so having a healthy relationship
it benefits men and women.
Benefit men as well. If you are going to couples therapy, I think that would also benefit the man.
Yeah, I don't think that couples therapy. I think that's better than just divorcing the man. I think that you should try to reconcile the problem than just divorcing the man. But I think that going to your church and speaking to a priest or your pastor and getting your faith involved, because it's to death do us part. It's through thick and thin, through rich or poor. So we're dealing with relationship issues that is not just like small things. It's things about the way you think and your morality and the way you can have the ability to have patience, or, you get what I'm saying? So there's it's much deeper than just talking to a shrink. That system was based around the woman's ideology. Well, yeah, let's cater to the woman. Most therapists just cater. Most of them are women and most of them cater to women. And did therapy ever heal anyone? That never healed anyone. That never cured anyone. Therapy never cured anyone.
We're letting Jen in.
Just jump in with a comment. I'm a bit confused again on account of the accountability question. I don't see how divorce rates speak to female accountability one way or another. It just seems like the divorce is going to statistically shift that burden towards the state and away from the patriarch/husband. I feel like both sides of it, I actually thought Lav's point was good about it got me thinking how many custody filings are going to be. It's reasonable to presuppose most custody filings would be by the woman. So maybe that also extends to not about the fact that women are filing it doesn't indicate intent. It indicates how things shook out role-wise in the marriage. So I guess I'm confused as to, don't both of them suggest that there's a lack of female accountability?
And can I at least point out when I said he's making a presupposition, I think his point about they should go to church is kind of pointing to what the separation of the argument would be. So my argument, and I would hope Lav would agree. If you disagree, please let me know, is saying that because we don't have enough information about why so many divorces happen, just leaning on the 80% number of women filing and using that to make a presupposition that women are not taking or not enduring whatever the marriage is kind of a false argument, because the number doesn't match the reasoning. And so that's my challenge is if we have information showing that this many divorces happen because she's just tired of the man, and this many divorces happen because of domestic violence, this many divorces happen because of financial insecurity, this many divorces happen because of sexual improclivities, then we would have a better argument. But just saying 80% of X, now that shows that the women aren't aren't inside the argument, that's correlation, not causation.
With a world with no fault divorce, this is what you get, right? So no fault divorce is to hold people accountable. You can't just divorce, right? You can't just divorce someone for no reason. It has to be a valid reason, and it has to be approved through the courts and things like that. So once again, you guys never answered. Yeah, I think holding men and women accountable is a good thing. The thing is, men are always. The thing is,
women really had no power over ending marriage before that. Like,
the thing is, you keep bringing it back to men, and men are always held accountable. There's consequences. If the woman divorces the man, usually men tend to make more. Usually, men tend to make more. So the woman gets alimony. The woman gets the children because the courts favor the children. So
because she files for custody.
Also, why?
And because she worked less, she was raising children while he worked. Of course, she would be.
When we live in a society when basically it says that men and women are equal and they have the same rights in the society, it's very feminized.
That's not even feminized.
What I'm speaking about, it's the indoctrination of feminism is in society. So feminism is in society where they look at men and women as being equals. We created the workforce for women where women can enter the workforce. They have access to college degrees and to pretty much work any job that men can work, but they don't really want to work these jobs that tend to pay more. They still want to go into career fields like, nursing and secretary work, blah, blah, blah. The point is, it's very simple. Without no fault divorce, this held both people accountable because it's like, okay, if you want a divorce, you got to go ahead and reconcile these differences, right? It has to be a valid reason. It incentivizes the couple to reconcile their differences rather than to just divorce. Without no fault divorce, the woman divorces the man, cleans his account out by collecting alimony, and then the courts tend to favor the woman so she gets the kids too and collects child support. There's no accountability on the woman. The man is held accountable. He has to pay child support. He has to pay alimony. The debate is about women not having any accountability. And we see it here in the justice system when it comes to marriage, when it comes to multiple different things, right? So, yeah.
No, go ahead, Lav.
I would just say I think alimony favors women because if I'm taking 10 years out of the workforce, if I'm taking 10 to 18 years out of the workforce to raise your greedy ass kids that ruin my body and take everything from me, yeah, and then you cheat on me. Yeah,
but that's a stretch. Most of these women are still working. Yeah, most of these women are still working.
Yes, but they're not furthering their careers. They're working like HR jobs. That's not going to, you are never, if you take 10 years off to work part-time doing HR, you're never going to ascend to the financial freedom that a man would.
That is not the average woman. So you're looking at things like this traditional woman. We live in modernity. These women aren't traditional. These women have a job. They have a man. The man has a job. They have kids. The kids go off to daycare. The woman is working. The man is working. That's the bulk of relationships in America. Now, there's some traditional relationships as well where the woman is staying at home.
The bulk of America, still a woman works less than men.
Women work less than men because they choose to work less than men.
And they still are the primary caregiver and they still work. So women have two jobs constantly when a man still just mostly has his primary job.
So you think that taking care of children is a job?
Are you joking? Is this real?
Wait, you think that it's a burden like a job is, like working for another man? You said this in your opening as well.
Yes,
like
of course,
raising children is a burden.
Is a job.
Do you have children?
Not yet, no.
Yeah, I have many children, right?
Yeah, and you're not the primary parent.
You're incorrect. You don't even know my lifestyle. I raised my daughter for 10 years. I raised my daughter for 10 years alone. So here's the thing. Well, time out. Here's the thing.
But that's not
when it comes to parenting.
You are in the minority.
You're speaking about the minority. When it comes to caretaking and you thinking that taking care of children is a burden, No, it's a blessing that I get to wake up
Of
each
course
morning and
it's
see my
also a
beautiful
blessing,
daughter's
yes,
face.
but
It's
it's
a
also
blessing.
work.
It's not a burden. It is not work. I look at my child as it's myself. It's not work. When you
Right.
become a parent,
I'm not
your
saying that
child
women
is a
don't feel
copy
that
of
way.
you.
I'm not saying that
Well,
women don't feel
obviously,
that way.
you don't feel that way if you think it's a burden.
No,
You don't have a
I'm not
child, so you
saying
don't
a
know
burden.
what you're
I'm not
speaking
adding.
about.
I'm not adding.
Kimsel,
I'm
you
not
have
adding
no clue
weight like that. I'm
what
not
you're
adding
speaking about.
emotional weight to.
There
First
is
of all,
no emotional weight. It is facts. When you have a child,
it's
you
not
are
a
copy
blessing.
of
Is not
yourself.
facts. A blessing is
Okay, if you make a
is not
child,
fact.
is it 50% of a copy of yourself?
Yes.
Are women basically copy machines? Yes, it is. So it isn't are you a burden to yourself? Are
No,
you
but
a burden to yourself?
my dogs. I love my dogs.
No, you didn't come. Your dogs didn't come from you. Are you a burden?
It doesn't matter if they
Are
came
you
from
a
me. If
burden of
you're
yourself? Answer
taking
the question.
care, if you're taking someone to school
Answer the
every day,
question.
if you're
So,
cleaning them,
Are you a
cleaning up
burden to
after them
yourself?
all day,
Answer the
if you're
question.
changing their
Femcel.
All right.
diapers,
So
if
just-
you're
Let's
taking
hold
them
on.
to
Fine.
appointments.
Answer this
Femcel.
question.
I want to let Dialogue answer the question if that's what you're trying to do.
Yes.
So
Are you a burden to yourself?
Since we're doing that, well, one, I have a child. I have a son, and we share custody. But since I want to clarify something because it was part of my initial argument, and since you did say Google is your highlight of how you bring your information in, so studies show the vast majority. Studies show the vast majority of men who actively fight for custody win, with the percentage often cited between 92 and 94%. Meaning that when the courts are making the decision of who gets custody, it's genuinely based off of who fights for custody. Yes, even though there are certain cases where men do lose custody, even though they fight, most cases are based off of whether or not the man pursues the custody agreement. If the man doesn't pursue the custody agreement, then the woman takes the burden, which it is a burden, whether you want to call it a happy burden or not. The woman takes the burden of taking care of the child, which also means the man, relieved of that burden, would add a financial connection to be able to help that woman take care of the child, since he's walking away from the personal connection of taking care of the kid.
I'll ask you the same question, Dialogue always. Can you hear me?
Yes,
my screen went black over here. Okay, it's up. You have kids, right?
Yes.
Are you a burden? Is your kids a burden?
Yes. And they're a blessing. Blessings.
Okay, so they're a burden and a blessing. Yes. Let me ask you a question. Are you a burden to yourself? You have to take care of yourself. Are you a burden to yourself?
Yes.
Okay, well, there we go, Chad. I'll just leave it there.
If feeding yourself,
do you not know what words
yourself,
mean?
Yeah, I don't know why you're.
Yeah, you don't know what words mean.
You consider you to be a burden to yourself.
I mean, to be fair, I think
you don't have a choice but to take care of yourself.
Just to frame Dialogue. I think I'm framing it properly. I have to pee again. It's a real burden. All right. Maybe that's, I don't know. Are we going that?
Is that what you mean, Dialogue? You have to sleep and wake up. It's a burden.
The definition of burden is load, typically a heavy one, which basically means it is something that you do, regardless of whether or not it's a fun or it helps you, or I weightlift every day.
What? If you like
it's something that I have fun doing. I love weightlifting, but it is still a burden because I am lifting a heavy load.
Yeah, so this is what you call you're making it's called a definite logical fallacy. So you're making a definition logical fallacy. You're appealing to a definition to make your argument. That's a logical fallacy.
You're appealing to a feeling.
What I'm saying is,
you're appealing to a feeling.
I'm not appealing to any feeling. I'm asking him a question about the burden. And it's very simple. If you truly think that you are a burden to yourself,
it's workload.
Yes.
It's workload.
Okay, if you think that my argument is how can you be a burden to yourself when if you're single, if it's just you're an individual, all you have is yourself. So going to work, doing the things so you can survive is a burden to yourself. No, you need to survive. Like, what are you speaking about right now?
The definition of the word. And the definition of the word burden, I don't know why. I can't figure out how you're having trouble with this. The definition it's no trouble.
The argument is very simple. Here's what I'm saying, because Femcel was saying that, and even in her opening, when you become, if divorce happens and the mother gets custody of the children, she's taking on this burden of taking care of these kids. She's basically working two jobs. She has to work in the workforce, but she's also working and taking care of the children. She doesn't have any children, right? So she's considering these things a burden. You actually have children, which is crazy, right?
Lav,
I think that a man taking on children that is not your own is a burden, because that is not your own. Anytime you're taking on something that is not your own of something else, then I consider that to be a burden.
So the failure that Cooley is having is that he's applying the word burden in the biblical sense, while we are applying burden in the logical sense, which literally means a heavy load or something.
It literally just means more work. That's what I meant, Cooley. Just more work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, once again, you're sticking to what you're doing is you're committing a logical fallacy. You can Google it. Google this. Google the logical fallacy when you appeal. Stop it. Google the logical fallacy when you appeal to a definition to make
of three people
to a specific definition to make your argument. It's called the definite fallacy. That's what you're doing right now. That's all it is. And guess what? It isn't working.
Or the non-Christian is using the word to its exact definition, while the Christian is using the word in a completely different way.
I didn't attribute moral weight to the word burden, Cooley. I was just saying workload.
Okay, you didn't contribute any more work.
I think it is a privilege to take care of children.
Okay, so it is a privilege.
I would say that.
So now you're changing your argument.
It is a workload. My argument was never changed.
So taking care. Think about when you're taking care of your children, which is a copy of yourself, or working for a company and working for another man.
Is it more work to take care of three people or one person?
No. What's the difference between that? Answer my question first before you ask the question. I'll ask the question again and give me an answer. So is there a difference? And maybe dialogue, you can answer this because you're the only one up here with kids besides Femcel, right? Femcel doesn't have any kids. So
don't forget about me. Now hold on.
Oh, you got kids, Ryan?
I got two.
Oh, look at you slanging seed. All right, shout out to you.
Work than one, right?
Not just the dog, right? Yeah, everybody wants to see the dog all of a sudden.
Shouts out to you, right? The distinction that I'm making when it comes to us working a regular 9-to-5 job or working our career isn't the same as taking care of our children and doing the necessary things so our children can survive. That isn't the same. We don't even view it the same. If you view it the same, you would be wanting to be like, dang, I should get paid for taking care of this little rascal that I created. You don't view it the same because you view that little rascal as essentially yourself if you're a good parent, right? You view it as, that's little me. So there's a distinction between working for a company and taking care of your children. That's all I'm saying. And I think that parents don't consider it to be a burden, like if you're having to work a job or do these things like that. It isn't the same thing.
I didn't say it was the same thing. I just said that it is like working two jobs because of the workload. So you don't get off. If you're a primary parent and you work, you're getting off your 9-to-5, or your boss is some guy who doesn't care about you. And then you're coming home to not just help your kids survive, but also thrive. So you're reading to them, you're cleaning up after them, you're teaching them how to read, you're taking them to all their appointments, you're learning things about them, you're remembering things about them. Yep. Men very infrequently become the primary parent. So when
and I get what you're saying. So you're doing all of these things all of these nurturing things to take care of the child. And these are the same things that you would do to basically take care of yourself. You take a poop, you got to wipe your butt. You take a shower, you got to wash. You got to cook yourself some food. You don't consider these being self-sufficient as an individual. You wouldn't consider this to be a burden because I need to be self-sufficient. You don't consider that to be a burden. No one considers that to be. You consider this is
a lot of people when I've gone all day without eating and I'm busy, I'm like, oh fuck, I have to eat. Of course I do. Or I have to take a shower. I'm so tired after coming home after working a 12-hour shift and I have to work again in 7 hours, but I have to shower.
If you have to clock in and go to work, is that the same?
I didn't say it was the same.
Okay, that's the point I'm making. I'm making a clear distinction.
I have to go to the initial response. That once again, when we're talking about how a courtroom determines somebody else's labor, they would see it as a burden for the woman to take care of the child. And that's how they would decide who takes on that responsibility and who would take the counter of that responsibility. That does not mean in the spiritual sense, because Lav was not looking at the spiritual sense of the word burden. She was looking at the actual definition of the word burden. That does not mean that what she's saying is children are so heavy or not a consequence or not a privilege. They aren't opposites of each other. We are talking about one field, which would be law, and another field, which would be spirituality. You're arguing the spiritual argument. She's arguing the legal argument. How are you
It's not even
this?
no. Well, once again, it's not even. I'm not even basically arguing the spiritual argument. I'm just having an argument based off of how human beings tend to perceive their offspring. It's an argument of perception, and basically, you guys was arguing. Now you're backtracking like, oh, I'm not saying it's the same. But before you were making the argument to try to basically say that, oh, I have to work a job and I have to take care of the children. I'm basically doing two jobs. That was FemCell's argument. That was FemCell's argument. So basically what both of you are doing right now, you're backtracking. So let's get back on point actually, right?
No,
what's the point of this? The point of it.
The only way this would be backtracking, because you're accusing me of something that's wrong. The only way this would be backtracking is if the conversation did not start with the legality of who takes responsibility for the child and who takes responsibility for the financial taking care of the child. So she's arguing in the legal sense. The entire argument was in the legal sense. You're trying to take it to a different place.
No, not at all. Let me ask you a question. Is it not the case that FemCell, when she was asked the question in regards to the, basically the woman getting full custody of the children and the alimony and stuff like that, she was saying that, well, women get these things because they take on the burden of having children, and they used to be under a man's roof where they weren't working for 10 years or maybe was working part-time. So now they have to go back out in the workforce, work a job, and also work another job. She says taking care of a kid, taking care of children is a burden. And she mapped it on as if it's the same. I was asking her questions to make.
I said it was added labor, which is why alimony exists, why child support exists.
I was making a clear distinction. Well, you said it's added labor. No, you basically was saying that you're working two jobs, and it was in your opening too.
A man does not have to take off work to raise his child. I mean, he can definitely go to a part-time position and raise his children. He could do that, but that's often not what's happening. Women
aren't raising their children either. The children is in daycare. That's what I tried to tell you. Okay, most of these women, when they get divorced,
a daycare doesn't feed them, do all their laundry, wash all their dishes, bathe them. Like, a daycare doesn't do all those things as well. And oftentimes women are not just doing that, but also cooking for their husband, cleaning after their husband, cleaning after the children. A woman takes domestics and has a job.
They're divorced the man. You're conflating two arguments.
I'm saying that's what she was doing when she was married.
Yes. Yeah, but we're not speaking about that. When she divorces the man, it's just her, the children, and the job. And most of these women, they're doing the same thing that they were doing in the marriage.
Have you been to divorce court? Because often you have to prove that you did not make as much money as him. And if he did make more money than you, then you are afforded alimony or child support. And oftentimes child support's like $50 a fucking month. That's not that much.
No, I've been to many of these court hearings, but anyways, the argument is very simple.
Oftentimes men are complaining over having to pay $50 a month to their fucking divorced wives. It's ridiculous.
And if you've been to many of these court proceedings, then you should probably have been to enough to where when the man fights for custody, he 96 to 98% of the time they win custody. So you probably have seen that.
And of course you wouldn't give her child support then.
So one, you're given two different statistics. Let me go ahead and respond to FemCell, and then I'll go ahead and respond to Dialogue Always, right? In regards to FemCell, what you're saying, you're moving the goalposts once again. When we're speaking about accountability and women having no accountability, right? They marry to a man, they divorce the man, the courts favor the woman. We all know the courts favor the woman in many different aspects. You can give a reason to why the courts favor the woman, but the fact is they're still favored in a court. They usually get the children and they usually get the alimony. That's where things go. You just said that, well, they should get the alimony and they should get this stuff because most of these women haven't been working because they was under the roof of a man and they were basically a stay-at-home mom, or if they was working, they were working part-time. I'm refuting that by saying that in modernity, if you look at the stats, most women that are married, they're still working, and the man is working, and they either working part-time or full-time, and the children are going to daycare. These duties or these things of taking care of the children, women are doing these things too, and men are doing these things when they come home from work. It's usually mutual in many cases. And most
the average child support payment is only $300 a month.
And you're saying only $300 a month coming from a woman, because women don't really have to pay it. Do you know that? What's the average pay rate? What's the average yearly pay rate in America?
No, but when you say favor,
what is the average?
You say the courts favor the woman.
What is the average yearly pay rate in America?
For a single person?
Obviously, it would be single because they're being divorced. What's the average?
I think it's around 30,000.
Probably a little bit higher than that. Probably around like 30. I think it's around like 40,000 a year.
Yeah.
Around that mark. 300 and with inflation and everything else, $300 a month. And think about it. These women get the kids, they get alimony, and the man sometimes is right in the neighborhood and he can see the kids. The man can get the kid every day if he wanted to, or at least 50-50, but the court is more likely to grant it to the women.
No, but did you hear what Dialogue always says? Is that
Dialogue always said that
custody.
Dialogue always argument is that men don't fight for custody. But when they do fight for custody, the percentage increases. I do know that to be the case.
And when they have more custody, if they have full custody, they do not have to pay child support to the woman. In fact, they can file for child support from the woman.
You're telling me 300. Hold on, I want to pass it over. Hold on, I want to let Dialogue in here. It's only fair, guys. But you're telling me $300 and I don't have to change any diapers ever again? My good, no.
That's what I'm saying. That's what most men are like. Yeah, fucking. Even then, they're fighting.
What a deal! No, I'm just kidding.
Even then, they're fighting.
I'm joking. I'm joking. My kids are like 8 and 11. Like I haven't dealt with them forever.
You look pretty young, Ryan.
It doesn't just raise, it raises dramatically. It raises to the argument that I made from the very beginning, that if you choose not to participate in something, you cannot claim that women are not taking accountability for it. If you want your kids, go to court and fight for them. That doesn't guarantee you're going to win, but that does show that when men fight for their kids, 96 to 98% of the time, they win. But if you don't show up to court, you don't do what you're supposed to do, you don't file, you don't even defend yourself, and you rely on her, which is what 80% of court filings are, you rely on her to do the filing and everything else, why would you be mad if it doesn't go your way?
Yeah, so when it comes to the filing situation, what you're saying, where if men tend to fight in the courts and they're trying to fight for their children, I know that this does increase their chances of getting custody of their children. This does not mean, there's many, many cases, and you can actually Google it as well, even when it's shared, even when it's a custody battle where it's shared custody. So let's paint the picture for you. Divorce happens, right? The man is making more because generally speaking, men tend to make more than women when it comes to when they're married and stuff, right? So men are making more. When they divorce, men have to pay alimony, and even when they do fight, and they they never full custody is very rare. I think the statistic shows only about 17% of men get like primary or full custody of their children. So that part is something different. When it comes to men fighting for custody, though, you still have to pay alimony, even if you don't have to pay the child support, right? You still have to pay the alimony. It's twofold. You're forgetting that it's alimony and it's child support. That's the argument.
Actually, very few women are awarded alimony, and even then, it's like not a lot of money. It's way less than child support.
And
Even
alimony is based
It's
on
money.
alimony is based on a significant difference in pay. So
yeah, very few people actually get alimony.
So if you're arguing that, well, one, again, I'm arguing that men aren't showing up, so there aren't as many cases of them both showing up to the fight. But two, when it comes to alimony, if there was an agreement, which is usually what alimony is based off of, if there was an agreement in the marriage for one person to to not do something, to not work, to not make money, to not get an education, if that was the agreement for the original beginning of the marriage, and again, neither of us have a strong argument on why most of these divorces are happening. At the end of the day, it would be based off that initial agreement. The initial agreement is he worked, he made more money, she stayed home and either took care of kids, or if there wasn't kids, presented herself as a significant other that matched however much money he made. Because we're talking about these are major significant income disparities. So we're not talking
you had a
about
question? Go ahead.
My question is, my argument is,
Okay, go ahead.
we're not talking about a man making $50,000 and a woman making $45,000, and then that man has to pay her alimony.
Yeah.
We're talking about a man making a certain amount of money while the woman does other things like, one, take care of the house, or two, a lot of these that end up in alimony are the woman is with him to present herself as like an attraction or a trophy wife or something like that, and her entire action or her entire part of the relationship was to be the, hey, this is my trophy wife, or this is the woman that doesn't have to work. If that all of a sudden ends in a divorce and you don't show up and give any type of argument to the contrary of what she's saying, that's usually where that ends up, with her making more money. That's not women not being accountable. That's literally just.
And she's awarded alimony even less. That type, the trophy wife type, is awarded alimony about 5% of the time. Like it's not significant.
We've talked about a lot of this stuff, but I mean, this is a very specific example. It's a lot easier to just focus on net taxpayer versus net welfare recipient. If you look at the statistics on that, you don't even have to talk about marriage rates. There is a conversation to be had about what's the value, for lack of a better word, of children in society. To what extent are we subsidizing that? We're already subsidizing it through schools and stuff.
We're really going to go down a different separate path if we do that. The value of children. I mean,
well, there is a question, because there's been so many times that we've been presupposing that there's a level of accountability that's sort of tangled up with having kids that.
You know what? And believe it or not, I once was one of those. Once was one, but I do want to move on to the next soup chat. I'm sorry to cut you off there, Jen. Everybody's kind of had a chance to bounce, and
that's all good.
If there's something you really wanted to throw in there, we have been kind of vamping on this one for a bit, but yeah, no, I of course I do have experience with children, but I do not have experience in the courts. It's $300 though. That's half a rock show. Usually though, when my partner's taking a solo, I dance with my wife. So it's all money in the bank for me right now, or us, I should say. We'll see where it goes from here. But so far so good. 13 years, everybody.
Congrats.
That's right. Give me those props. You know what? I said that on our last anniversary. I was like, the best thing about being together for a long time is as soon as you tell somebody or anybody, they're just like, congratulations. And it's like, yes, I forced your hand. You can't help it now. But no, it's, just, you gotta mold. You gotta work together. That's how it goes. That's how any relationship really works along. I know I'm padding, guys, because I'm trying to reload these super chats and YouTube was being a cad, and I've done it. All right, so let's ask this next question. There have been a lot here for you, Cooley, so bear with us here. So this is a quote. They say, millions are addicted to fentanyl. We need to punish the user and not the dealers. That's their argument for dealing, so out of quotes, that's their argument for dealing with adult entertainment. Only feminists used this argument, and only when defending degeneracy. So, we need to punish the user and not the dealers. Millions are addicted to fentanyl. So they're basically saying that this is analogous. Can't speak.
Analogous
Analogous
to the point that I was making.
Yeah, I threw my other headphone in there and blocked off my ear. I can't speak anymore.
Yeah,
Go
so
ahead.
yeah, I guess that person has low IQ. It wasn't my argument. It was Dialogue Always argument. That was his argument. His argument was, I'll repeat again because I even wrote it down. His argument was, he basically, when it comes to the adult industry, since men are the consumers, then men should be held accountable. And I asked him a question. Basically, when I asked him a question, it came down to like supply and demand. I said, well, what is it easier to get rid of, the supply or the demand? He said, well, it's usually much easier to get rid of the supply because the demand comes from like this want. People have these wants, but the supply is people actually doing something, like putting themselves out there, or like as far as adult entertainment, they're actually making these videos, creating it and putting themselves out there. So it's easier to restrict that supply than it is to restrict people's urges, right? This does not map on, because my argument, my refutation to Dialogue's Always point was, well, I'm in favor for putting consequences on the men and the women. But from what you said, since it's easier to get rid of the supply and women would be the supply in that situation, and the debate is about women having to take accountability, well, shouldn't you think that women should take accountability in this situation, and they should endure some consequences for being in adult entertainment? So that's my position. I think he just got it wrong.
So I think the entire problem with this is that you wrote it down, because if you had have written it down, you would have understood that what I am saying is that in every single situation like this, the accountability has to be placed on the consumer. That does not mean that, first off, since I've made adult entertainment a net neutral in my argument, I am not leaning into your argument as saying that it's a negative.
You presuppose that. I don't think that it's neutral. What's your justification on how it's neutral? You never even explained that.
Part of my argument. Okay. So part of my argument is that it's neutral. Actually, I said it earlier. I said it's neutral because it can be both educational, which is a positive, and while it teaches, and a lot of it can teach people how to have safe and healthy sex, while it can also have the negatives that you've already listed. So because I see it as a net neutral, depending on who consumes it and why they are consuming it, that's the issue. If you want to go after the negative consequences and the negative sides of adult entertainment, that's fine. But wiping all of adult entertainment out because your argument is that people consuming it do not have the ability to stop themselves from leaning into certain aspects of it, that is pretty much nonsensical. And that's like saying because fentanyl exists, we should get rid of all forms of opium-based products.
Yeah, so that's not the argument, and I'll create the clear distinction between the two, right? So your justification on why the adult industry is basically, neutral. It can be good and it can be bad. To your form of why it can be good is because you're saying that, well, it can be used for educational purposes. Let me ask you a question. What education do you need to have? I'm speaking to Dialogue Always. Just let him. I'm asking him a question.
Though you're responding to a straw man.
Let him say that it's a strong man.
Because it could be literally not. It could be just because you want to masturbate. That's fine. That's neutral. That would be like smoking weed, and in a lot of states, smoking weed is not illegal anymore, right? So like the equivalent with drug use would be like fentanyl and child porn. That's illegal everywhere, right?
Yeah,
those things are illegal everywhere. But like
watching
a little bit of
question.
porn and smoking a little bit of weed are both legal. Does that make sense?
In order to watch porn, in order to watch this adult content, someone has to create the adult content. The process and what it takes the human being to do to create this adult content tint. I say that on the creation side, it's bad. But if we're speaking about how it's bad for the consumer, I'm asking him a question when it comes to education. What do you mean by this? How can watching sex, how is this educational for someone? Explain this. I don't think that anyone, back before we had videos and technology to watch pornography, I think people was learning how to have sex perfectly fine since the beginning of time. So since we never had this technology of TVs and videos to shoot this film, but somehow
They were drawing it in caves. They were drawing it in caves.
Somehow everyone was still educated to have sex.
They were drawing it in caves. They were acting it out in plays.
Before people even was writing things down, before these concepts of writing and language and things, before that, human beings was still educated on sex, meaning that you don't need to educate human beings on having sex. This is a lie. So give me another justification, dialogue always, because that one was, guess what? Stupid.
Cave titties, says Industrial Nerd. That's great. Do you guys want to carry on? We can ask the next super chat. If you want to answer his question, you go for it.
So, first off, since the beginning of time, there's also been depictions of sexual acts that people lean on to educate them on how to have safe sex and how to have different types of sex.
Please bring up these pictures of these writings on the wall of these since the beginning of time. Since the beginning, you said since the beginning of time. So we actually have pictures from the beginning of time, thousands of years ago, of sex education. You are a liar.
Cave titties, they said.
So
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure if you just Google Egyptian cave or Egyptian painting.
Is Egyptian cave paintings, is that the beginning of time?
Wow. So we went to arguing over specifics over burden. So, okay. When I am saying the beginning of time, obviously I'm not saying once the earth exploded, people were drawing cave paintings.
So therefore, the conclusion of your argument is nonsensical because people do not need to see drawings of sexual acts or videos of sexual acts in order to educate them on sex. That is dumb.
Before making your victory lap, I would like to finish my point. So since the beginning of, or I can't say the first person ever born was drawing, or the first person ever created was drawing it. Since the beginning of time, people have been having major issues trying to have sexual intercourse that led to damaging parts of their body, that led to, people bleeding out, that's leading to the wrong age, that's leading to all kind of things that over time, once manuscripts started kicking in, and I'm pretty sure, I'm not going to Google it because I'm trying to keep my Google as safe for work as possible, but I'm pretty sure there are cave paintings depicting sexual acts. But the entire point is a lot of this is to show, like, up until very recently, this was kind of normal behavior to depict sex in writings and pictures and stuff like that. So
well, there is a clear distinction between something that's written down and visual too. There's a distinction there. I just want to let you know of that. Well, because a picture is me just drawing. The video takes two people actually having sex. So these are two paid actors doing sexual things.
So we have better technology to show people how to have safe sex. Your issue is that the technology is better?
No, the point is, I think that it's bad. I think that it's not good for men to watch porn, corn. I don't think that that's a good thing. The reason being,
I'll give you my reason. Their genitalia on the wall. We do have to move on very shortly, but if you guys can put a bow on this one,
I'll just land my plane briefly. My argument is very simple because once again, you are saying that, well, the adult industry, I think that is neutral. It's good and bad. Your justification for it being good is that it's educational. I said, well, how is it educational? We seem to do just fine, and men and women were having sex with one another and procreating for thousands of years before any technology was created, so we can see visual acts happening, and which would take two people actually doing these acts, which is degenerate because they're getting paid to do these sexual acts, and it's not even a relationship usually. Even the ones that it is a relationship, it still isn't good for the consumer to watch, is because men happen to fall in love with their eyes, and it's many negative effects when men watch porn.
Let's put a bow
when
onto
men
it.
watch porn. There's many negative effects when men watch adult entertainment, and from mental aspects to physical aspects, and I can get into all of them. But go ahead.
that was the clarification we needed at the end. I think we got that. We did it the first time. But yeah, thank you so much, everybody on the panel, for the lively discussion. We do have quite a few more super chats, so I do hope you are ready. Our live chat has certainly decided it is a good time to engage. It is a good time for modern day debate. We welcome the super chatters and your support. So let's just scroll on down here and see what we have from a Big League Drew. Says drugs should be legal for adults. Doesn't mean they should do them or that they are good for you. So, I think we kind of touched on this a little bit. We talked about weed being legal and some people doing it. I'm Canadian. That's all we do. But maybe we can just touch on this right quick for Big League Drew, about, what's good for me maybe isn't good for you. And how it could apply to this argument, because I'm not sure if it's entirely on point. Corey, Cooley, sorry, you're making some faces there if you want to respond.
Yeah, I don't really know how, it's analogous to the point that I was making, but yeah, no response because I'm not sure where he's getting at there.
Anybody else on the panel kind of want to help out? Dialogue always. Drugs should be legal for adults. Doesn't mean that they should do them or that they're good for you.
We want to live in a world that's not authoritarian, where people have personal freedoms to potentially harm themselves. We take away the worst things, right? But we leave some vices in there because we're adults able to make our own decisions.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, thank you for that clarification of what he's getting at, his underlying reasons. I would say that, well, that's just, there's many things that's illegal in our society, and it's illegal for a reason, because collectively we came together and we say that, this is bad. This is good. It's legal if it's good, it's illegal if it's bad. And that's normally how things go, right? So this is why we have to get down to, meta ethics, basically, to what you perceive to be good and what you perceive to be bad. Because I clearly perceive most of my arguments when it came to, it wasn't even my argument, it was Dialogue's always argument when it came down to women sexualizing themselves online and stuff like that. My argument is that it's bad. It's not good for the consumer, and it's not good for the creator. And I can back it up with many things, and I have been backing it up. So therefore, I would say that, well, you may think that, weed, in my worldview, weed wouldn't be legal. Weed would be banned. Alcohol would be banned. I don't drink, I don't smoke. I'm banning all of it.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't entirely disagree with you.
So I disagree completely, because when you start,
now there's a fair exception to the rule when it comes to alcohol, I would say, because Jesus did turn water into wine. For certain circumstances, take a little sip here and there, I can say that, okay, it's considerable, but overall, no, you shouldn't get drunk. As far as even the weed thing, if it's weed for medical issues, okay, that's good. But for recreational things, no. So, there's always nuance to it all,
I
But
would plead the fifth, but there's clearly something wrong with me. Do you want to carry on, or did you want to respond their dialogue always?
I just want to like his return to saying like, oh well, in moderation for alcohol. That's kind of the argument being made for most things. In moderation, which is based on your personal actions, in moderation, it's not bad. In moderation, it's neutral. So in moderation, um, for a person that does not see it as like setting aside the morality side of it and seeing it as how laws are basically written, how something affects other people, it's neutral. It's a net neutral. That's my argument. It's a net neutral. So in moderation, and that's your personal responsibility to either do it in moderation, or if you can't do it in moderation, don't do it at all.
Yeah,
Right.
well, here's the thing. I think that the adult industry is much different than, if we're speaking about, weed. That's different. And currently, right now, there's really no regulations on it. It's like, women can, go on there, and men can create these sites and bring women on there, and men can pay for it. So there's
I
not
would
any
argue,
moderation or anything that's really on it.
I would argue that alcohol is significantly worse, especially if you abuse it. And
Oh no,
so,
I think that once again, I'm totally for.
We've deviated a little bit here, fellas. I think we should get back into
okay.
our discussion,
Yeah,
but maybe
my
just sorry.
Yeah, I was going to be clear here. When it came to alcohol, once again, it's in moderation. I'm not saying for the consumer. I'm talking about for the seller, like meaning that this thing can only be sold for certain events, for certain circumstances, and it's moderation. So even the sellers can only sell as a certain amount of the alcohol. I don't think that people should really drink at all, right?
So you mean like proof limits or not being able to sell on Sundays?
No. Just to try to move things along, he did say I don't think people should be able to drink at all. So I think he's saying, alcohol is not
Sure,
something
but
he
that's
finds
that's a direct argument against what he said after he thought for a second and was like, well,
No, I
I
didn't think
guess
for a second. I'm saying that generally speaking, it should be illegal. I think weed should be illegal too. But medical issues, we got to make an exception to the rule. Sometimes weed is helpful for certain medical things, like glaucoma, right? Oh, he needs some weed for glaucoma. Let's prescribe him something. If it's the case that you're having this church event or it's some type of event and you're selling, I'll make it legal for you to sell
just to try to
alcohol
pass
in
things along.
moderation to that.
All right, just to pass things along.
Yeah.
So yeah, for everyday consumption, basically zero tolerance.
For recreational use only. For recreational use, no.
Yeah, and for ceremonial purposes, similar to, I think here where I am in Nova Scotia, you can only get a circumcision for, if you're part of a certain group of people that would have that procedure. Otherwise, you can't have it. So I think that would be kind of similar to what Cooley's saying is like, you can't have it unless it's for these cultural practices only.
Thank you, Ryan. Yeah.
Is that all right? Did you want to respond to that dialogue before we ask the next question?
I mean, I genuinely would, but I think that we would just be going in a circle because I think he realizes the mistake, the flaw in his own logic, but
all right, then allow me to cut you off.
No flaw dialogue.
Allow me to cut you off then, and I will just ask the next question, and we'll just carry on because there are quite a few more. But if anybody needs to step out right quick, that's totally fine. We're getting into some long form.
I actually do have to. I didn't realize that we were going to go so long, and I do have to cook my husband dinner. He's been waiting and he can't cook for himself, so I have to take accountability and cook him dinner. So I had so much fun. I have to, my workload is myself and my husband, who is my man-child. So thank you so much for having me. I had a really fun time. It was great to meet all of you, and hope to be back someday.
Nice to meet you.
So nice to meet you as well, Jen. Have a good night, you guys.
All right, cheers. Well, thanks for coming out. We'll just switch
and also, Ryan, I probably got about a good 10 minutes as well.
All right. Well, then we'll just try to blast through some of these because there were a lot of questions as you guys were kind of vamping on. But yeah, let's just do those then. Duvid says, historically, the fathers or husbands suffered the consequences for his daughter/wife. Otherwise, society at large will suffer the consequences. No thoughts? Wicked Dream says, feminism has gotten rid of duties for women, and with that, it has taken away accountability. So feminism being an issue. Cooley's nodding. You're nodding your head. So if you want to expound, feminism has taken away accountability. Go ahead.
Yeah, just like in my opening, I put many arguments forth, and I had no refutations for any of my arguments that I pushed forth, and it was basically in regards to the influence of feminism and how feminism is decaying the society within, with the move towards feminism and women in the workforce and women prioritizing their career rather than prioritizing having family and children. Currently, we are suffering. We are below replacement population levels in our society. It's supposed to be 1.2. Supposed to be 2.1 babies per woman, but currently we're at 1.6 babies per woman. This is because women have zero obligations. They have no duties to bear the next generation. So,
any thoughts on
due
the
to
other
feminism
side? Their dialogue.
Well, we're probably, this is a little late to get into this. I did kind of respond to him by.
He says he has 10 minutes, but I bet if you rattle his chain a little bit, we can get him for a little longer.
Well,
I do got a hard out though.
Yeah,
we went way past the time.
All right, well then maybe we'll be
to be honest, like I would like to have another conversation with Jen because I would like to address a lot of the things that she said. We just didn't get a good chance to get to that. But to argue that this is for feminism is to ignore the fact that a lot of the problems we have is because we're having a cultural clash between old generation ideas, old thoughts, traditional ideas, and a new system where a lot of the old ideas aren't exactly relevant for today. So because of that clash, because of that clash, blaming all of that on feminism while ignoring the flaws of the past is just, I mean, it's just, I don't know, it's one-sided.
Well, we'll move on to the next question if you don't mind. Industrial Nerd says, has anyone on the panel been married or divorced? So we just lost a panelist, so we're not entirely sure if they're married, but they certainly have somebody that they hadn't cooked dinner before for, and we're judging them. Anyway, I'm just kidding. Go ahead there, Jen.
Yes. I'm married.
Oh, you are married. Do you have children, if you don't mind saying?
No kid.
Okay, well, it's a crazy process, I'll tell you that. I've been through it twice with the same lady, and oh my, having children is it's wild. What about you, Coley? You got any experience being married or divorced?
I'm in a long-term relationship. Been in a relationship, and I have children. But as far as like the title of being married by the state, no.
All right. And dialogue always, they're asking, you don't have to actually answer. It's a personal question. Oh, no. I should have let you guys know.
Married. I've been married. I'm divorced now. So I've been on both sides of this argument.
All right. So there you go, Industrial. So hopefully that helps inform your opinion on what the lens is of individual speakers on the panel based on their experiences. Dane Schneider, 8950, says, Lav wants equality for women except for where it costs women their comfort and security. She wants them to be able to divorce based on happiness, but still gets the resources of the man she's deserting. All right, so we don't have Lav here to defend themselves, but Jen, if you want to respond maybe to the other side of that, maybe, I don't know, is this an accurate description? It was for $9.99 of what Lav was presenting.
Not really sure, sorry. Getting a little tired here.
No worries.
Wasn't expecting to have to answer that one.
So want to be able to divorce based on happiness, but still get the resources of the man she's deserting. So
Right.
We
Yeah,
kind of
that
bounced
was
that a bit.
basically my argument, but I didn't want to frame it in that context, because as we saw when we got into all the digressions, there's so much going on that it's hard not to commit an anecdotal fallacy where it's like, well, what actually are we even talking about here? So is the woman getting more accountability because she's got to take care of the kid alone, or is she getting less accountability because she gets the resources from the marriage without having to take care of the man? So I think it's a difficult question to go into because it's a bit vague,
No
and
worries.
we sort of see in it
Well, we got another one
what
here coming
we
for
are
you there,
focused on.
Jennifer. If you want, a nominal 5583 says Jennifer is winning this thing, and she hardly said shit. Be more like Jennifer. So that's a fan chat there. All right, dog, get comfortable, or else you're gonna have to go elsewhere. The dog's been pawing at my knee for a while here. Some of the people were like, "We want to see the dog," so I adjusted the camera so you could see the dog. But she's being a real pain in my ass. All right, so Dane Snyder follows up and says, Lav is wrong. Women are more likely to unalive children and the elderly. Excuse me. Men typically do it for business reasons. Okay, that's pretty vague. This is just a business dealing. I don't know what you. Women are more likely. These are more likely to unalive children and the elderly. Men typically do it for business reasons. Do you mean like men maybe are more doctors and that's why they have to maybe? I don't know.
It was the
It's just
statistical
business, nothing
argument
personal.
where I think the argument was like, because there's more of a statistical propensity for certain kinds of crimes, that means somehow that there's more of a mens rea. And this is an argument, I think, against that, well, actually women are just as cold-blooded killers as men.
All right, so I guess, yeah, just the way it's worded, men typically do it. If you would have said like for financial reasons, that sort of thing, maybe I wouldn't have had the reaction. But just because you said for business reasons, that's pretty good. Women do it for emotional reasons, is what they had to follow up there. Dane Schneider, thank you so much. Your wording has brought me much joy. I'm going to try to hurry along here. Dane Snyder follows up and says, there's a reason the axioms, hell has no fury like a woman scorned, and if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy exists. They delete domestically extended families, romantic competition. What is Dane Snyder getting at here? You want to help us out? Do you maybe want to put a frame on that, Jen? You seem like you were about to start there.
I'm actually having trouble parsing the meaning, or the connection rather, of that to our discussion.
Can I just respond to that?
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
The axioms exist because for all of time until recently, men usually wrote the axioms. So of course, men are going to write the axioms more towards like, hey, my wife is X, or hey, my wife is Y. That's just
okay. Here's an axiom: men are allergic to asking for directions. What the hell is that? I guess I just don't see how it connects to accountability in society.
This is deeply ingrained in our biology, and it does hurt us if we have to do it.
It's physically painful. Like, I've heard it's comparable to childbirth, having asked for directions.
Well, yeah,
it hurts.
I'm just saying he made the argument. That's why I said most axioms are written by men, so most axioms would have a negative input on women. It's just
I guess I don't get the argument. Like, is the argument like that there's axioms which are actually just aphorisms about women that paint them in a negative light, therefore they're not accountable? Like, I don't actually see, I'm afraid I'm having trouble sometimes. This is a good opportunity to mention, like, it's always good to mention how what you're saying relates back to the original point.
All right, so
that's not to anyone in particular, it's actually to the audience.
So yeah. Big League Drew follows up here and says, technically women getting lesser sentences isn't not being held accountable. It's that they're being treated more favorably. Any thoughts there on the panel?
Oh, that's a distinction without a difference. So the burden's on you to establish how those two things are different, because
Fair enough. I felt like that might be a bit of a tautology myself. All right. Emperor Fat Ass Dog says, to the yes side, was the Scottsboro boy trial justified? If not, shouldn't the women who lied about them face jail time?
I mean, in your specific anecdote, sure, yeah. Women that lie about rape should. Sorry. I used the wrong
We're
word.
this late in the stream. I think it's okay. Do you know how many times these guys said porn? I swear. I could probably get away with saying fuck, fuckity, fuck at this point, and nobody would care.
I'm sorry. I tried my best not to say it, but like, if we're talking about false accusations, sure, false accusations should get more, but I don't think that that's really an accountability thing as much as it's more of a, we have more information to prove it's a false accusation now than we did prior. So like, I think it's more of a, the times will catch up to it, but it's not having accountability.
All right. Let's see. Danny Snyder says, amazing that Lav is explaining the justice system to Cooley. Clearly her debate prep didn't include reviewing his content where he cites his upbringing and decisions relatives made versus ones that he did. So, I guess they're saying that Lav was not very well versed on your previous content there, Cooley. Did you want to make any commentary about how this may have been already addressed in some prior content?
I mean, he kind of just said what he said. It's really nothing more to really elaborate on. Even if, she didn't do any research on me, I think I still put my arguments out clear and concise and easy for her to understand. And I gave my justifications for the arguments on why women generally don't, take accountability. So yeah, I'll leave it like that.
All right, fair enough. There's more for you. I gotta quit super chatting, says Dane Snyder. I'm spending my Cooley budget on these feminists. Not really. I'm supporting modern day debate. Well, thank you, Dane Snyder. And obviously, Dane is quite the fan there. I'm not sure if you were familiar with the name. But they are.
I know Dane.
All right, well, Dane, we do appreciate you here at Modern Day Debate. Hopefully you'll tune in for some other debates that we do host. James has been hosting more and more lately as we get closer to this debate con coming up here. So if you do want to get tickets to the debate con 6, as you can see, we had the promo up for most of the show. You can see Apostate Prophet is going to be up against Daniel Hakikachu, and also Andrew Wilson is going to be coming back for another debate. That's November 15th and 16th. So that's Nashville, Tennessee. Early Bird Gets the Worm. It's a 2-day event.
In regards to that, I went to the one in Newark because I'm near Newark, New Jersey. Were you at that event?
Me?
Yeah, were you there?
No, I was not. Unfortunately.
Oh, you wasn't at that one. Oh, okay.
I was at the one in Texas, which was a pretty big ordeal. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
There was some big, shit hit the fan pretty hard at one point during one of the debates. So if you didn't see the debates from DebateCon in Texas, it was there were some intense moments. I would definitely recommend going back and checking it out and just reviewing the modern day debate history. As you heard, Dialogue Always was also here at one point too. So unfortunately, I don't have any plans for travel as of recently. I've been just focusing on doing my Canadian tour with the band, which has just been keeping me extremely busy. So modern day debate has been it's a job, and James reaches out and asks me to host from time to time, and I'm glad to. And hopefully you guys feel like you had a fair shot on the panel to make your case. So let's carry on with the super chats before we get too much into that. But once again, as you said, are you going to, actually, I should ask just right quick, are you going to be going to this debate con here in Tennessee?
I'm speaking with the team. We may pull up. I know we went to the one in last year that was in Newark, New Jersey. So I just got to get a few things arranged. I know a few people have been asking like, hey, man, we got to see you at DebateCon again. So I'm trying to arrange a few things. And I know James, so I'll reach out to James if I can arrange some things, and I'll get my tickets and head on out to, you said it's in Tennessee, right?
Yep. It's Nashville, yep.
Yep, Nashville.
Yeah, it's going to be on November 15th and 16th. So, yeah, definitely check out the link in the description if you want to get tickets. We do appreciate all you
Hey,
guys.
I got to get out of here, but I wanted to thank you for the moderation, Ryan. Great job. Dialogue, my opponent. I'm happy to debate you again on my platform or any other, or on this platform again. If you want to reach out to me, man. I think we have opposing views, so it'll make for some good conversation. Shouts out to Jen, my partner. I definitely want to hear more of you as well, Jen. So reach out to me, both you guys, if you want to just reach out to me. I got a big platform over at No Fugazee Podcast, over 400,000 subscribers. So if you guys want to reach out to me, want to be part of the things that I do over there, I got you guys, man. You can hit me up on Instagram at No Fugazee Podcast or on X at No Fugazee Podcast. But appreciate you, Ryan.
All right. Well, appreciate you as well. Thank you for so much. Hopefully we'll see you again before then. All right.
All right. Have a blessed one.
Thank you. Cheers.
Bye.
Bursts into flames. Anyway, no, I'm just kidding. Just joking around. Let's see here. We got some more super chats. I'm glad that we have two opposing views on the channel. Thank you so much, Jen and Dialogue, always for being the long haul here, holding down the fort. I think this has happened just maybe one time with you, Jen. Maybe every time. Hey, Cooley, you said you were leaving. Get the hell out. All right, I'm just playing. Let's see. Nominal 5583 says, Ryan, did Denzel or Miranson pay more, or are you natural a power bottom? A power bottom. That sounds like it's an erotic thing. I don't know. It depends if I'm tired and I need my wife to put in the effort. I don't know. What am I supposed to say? What am I supposed to say? I can be catered to. You troglodytes. All right, we're gonna ask the super chats, right? Who was saying here? I'm gonna boot you out there, Cooley. I think you made a mistake. No, I don't want to report to Zoom. There we go. All right, well, let's just carry on. Thank you so much, there, guys. So Dane Snyder says, "Oh, I already read that one. Good. That means we can scroll down. That's good for you guys." Even Lord says, should black women have the same sentencing as men, considering that they do more violent crime per capita than white men? This is from Even Lord.
Well, I don't really think that statistics should determine. It seems a little lopsided to me. Whether statistics should have anything to do with establishing mens rea, that to me hasn't been established yet.
Well, that wasn't the argument. It was like statistics to establish mens rea. It establishes likelihood. It adds weight to likelihood. That's not like the main reason. What we were arguing against, from what he was saying, was like women committing the same crime as men get a lesser sentence, where it's like, well, no, because most of it is just based on the degree, and then the degree you go deeper into mens rea. So that's not really a good argument unless you want to side by side every single possible court case and look at every interaction inside those court cases, because a lot of that matters more than just the crime itself. How you fight, the way you speak, the way you act, the way the judge deals with you, more than, just I killed someone, I get 5 years. This person kills someone, they get 10 years.
Is that profiling?
No.
Okay, because it just sounded like profiling for a second, where it's like,
well, most
look
cases,
at her. Oh, it's a girl. She's probably not so bad.
Well, no, because the vast majority of cases don't even go to trial. They go to some sort of plea deal. So it's based off of like whether or not the prosecutor wants to fight, the deal that's made in order for that person to not have to go to trial. So when we're not looking at trials and we're just looking at like the deal that leads to the sentencing, that's where, other things are measured more than just the act itself.
Yeah, my issue is I don't think it's been established that there's a link between mens rea and statistical prevalence, if only because the demographics themselves may not actually have a basis, like the crime demographics may not be accurate descriptors.
Well, it
Right, like I don't
matters.
know if you know, but in England they have they're kind of a racist system where they like have a checkbox where they put you in a category and there's like 5 or 6 races or something. I don't know if you've heard of this, but like
Sure, but
there's like they have a checkbox, they check you off so that they're, not necessarily correct. And then if, let's say, I get put in one of those boxes, would I want to be judged based on what other members of that box had done in the past? Does my guilt, is it in any way affected by the cohorts of my statistical demographic? And I don't see how to me, that wasn't established. I'm not saying that's the position you're taking. I'm just responding to what I thought the person in the chat was saying. So don't take this as me like pushing back necessarily against what you're saying, because I may not even disagree.
All right.
oh, okay.
Let us carry on to the next chat. Some people saying some nice things about me in the live chat. Thank you so much. Not even about the fact that I shaved this evening. Oh, I tried so hard, Let's get myself prepped up. And then I've got my real cheater here. Yes, I got the real cheat. This is Maple. A couple people in the live chat already know who she is. Silly Canadian dog. We got to stop you from barking at people. All right. We're getting it back up to your super chats, everybody. We're going a little bit later than we planned, but I will ask our panel, since we've been going so late. Somebody asked me earlier, they said, "What are you drinking, Ryan? Piss?" No, it's golden lager. I'm not crazy, and only one or two or a few of them. What's everybody else having on our panel tonight? Will I bring up our chats? Dialogue always. What are you into this evening?
Drinking water because I don't want to go to prison.
Water. I'm just having some water. Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. No need to go to prison, and don't eat Tylenol either, right? You want to keep a sharp mind. Next thing you know, you'll get a prescription for marijuana like myself, right? Because you'll have the tism. Anyway, that's right. You caught me. All right. Emperor Fat Ass Dog says, "Who do y'all want John Cena's last opponent to be? I want Edge."
I mean, even though he's broken up and he probably won't be able to do it, I think it should go from where it started. I think Kurt Angle should be his final match, even though I don't think Kurt can go. That's how he started his career, the ruthless aggression. So that should be where he ends it. That's what I think personally.
All right. Well,
I'm afraid I can't be accountable for an answer to this question because I have no clue about. I'm assuming it's MMA here, but
No. Worse, fake fighting.
Fake fight. Isn't that what it all is at this point? Anyway, before I get in trouble, I'll vote for a comeback of Rey Mysterio. There you go. All the '90s kids be coming out right now, going, "Ah!" I want to see Shorty just go for it. All right, Gilbert, because I'm a Ronnie James Dio fan, right? That guy was like 5'2". But he sang like he was 8 feet tall. Anyway, Gilbert Guzman says, "Yeah, women are held accountable. Doesn't matter if you have kids, dummy." All right. Okay. Thanks, Gilbert. Ishmael says, "Why are female pedophiles constantly given lenient sentences compared to male child sex offenders?" I'll say, just I don't know if that's better, honestly, but I don't know if that's true based on Western culture, since I think it was Ghislaine Maxwell that went to prison, but I don't know about other male sex offenders. But as for famous examples, she's kind of the one that's sitting behind bars. Isn't that the case?
There's a lot of unknowns in that equation, but I would basically point to the taboo against men even coming forward with an issue with undesired advances. So I think that'd be the thing to look at, like maybe question that taboo, that having some compassion for people that this horrible thing has happened to.
But okay,
Nothing
then,
about investigating European princes? No? Let's see how vague I was there. All right, I'm being bad. Go ahead, dialogue.
oh no, then I would just, and again, I would love to have another conversation with you. I know where we're going over, and a lot of it was based off of a completely different argument. But I would like to ask you, would you accept an argument that would say that a lot of it is based off of the severity more than just the act itself? Um, like I don't think that we really have the statistics on like a 1-to-1, but a lot of it is like based off like somebody has had a history of actions or their action was a lot more intense or aggressive or destructive. Or would you say that it's and also my second question would be, do you think that that's also a problem with men not addressing female on male or female on male PDF files, um or accusations of PDS files with the same intensity as they would male on female? And wouldn't that be
Yeah,
more
I
of
mean, I think that's a big issue, and I attribute that to like a social taboo. Like sometimes if men report this, I don't know what the right word is here, misuse from a woman, and it does happen, like that they're not really treated with a lot of credulity. Like people don't believe that. And I do think that there is a vestigial biological argument there that like I'm not making this argument, but it's been made that only a penis can R word. And so there's a biological kind of mechanical argument there
Well, that's why,
that
just
is
to be
worth
fair,
addressing, but I don't think that's like the only argument
well, just to go
because
back,
there's social aspects.
hold on, just before we straw man a little bit here, not to accuse you of anything. They did say PDF, and I don't want to say too much online because we can get in trouble on the stream, but it's not just about being able to have like insertion. It's about like sexual dominance. Other ways that people can sexually abuse each other. Sorry to cut you off. Just
Oh, well, I was actually getting to what you're saying. Like, it's
sorry.
not just like I'm trying to justify the bias as being biological, but that we can't just make sociological arguments on a biological basis because there are these taboos, right? That like they may be rooted in biology, but they're a result of sociology progressing for a long time and sort of integrating everything. So it does become more, like you say, about a power imbalance. And so maybe that's an opportunity for meaningful social reform to like look at this and sort of step back and say, well, the profile of a abuser may not always look like what we think it does.
Fair enough. Let's carry on to the next question. And thank you so much to both of you for hanging out and going for the long haul. I know you've got your own spaces that you probably want to go rock in, but I'm going to hold on to you for just a little bit longer while we run through some of these super chats. And I will let you know that some of them are just kind of catcally, and I shouldn't say catcally. They're not like coming on to me or anything. But they're trying to heckle, I should say. Gilbert Guzman, here's one. He says, y'all's wrong. LMAO. All right, I did my best, Gilbert. I don't know what your laugh sounds like. Maybe it's stupider than that. Dane Snyder says, Cooley, I fund all my super chats with proceeds from my OnlyFans. Turns out there's a huge demand for a 315-pound, 54-year-old worn-out man from Alabama. Who knew? I'm schmexy, and I know it. Yes, you are Dane Snyder, and the world should know. Shake your stuff. All right, Alexander Howlett, let's ask the next one, says, for $50. All right. Alexander Howlett actually asked how to put in a super chat. And before I could respond, they put one in, so I'm glad you figured it out. They said, I'd like to know how Lav and Dialogue do not agree with Cooley's moral society. So the moral society case. So going back to the immorality he was stating about engaging in those practices, punishments for certain people that engage in it as well. So go ahead, their dialogue.
I can answer that quickly. Because I don't agree with the presupposition that law is supposed to dictate religious morality. So his entire argument is based on the idea that because he has a religious view on certain things, there should be legal consequences for it, because he can't name the consequences of safe, responsible adult entertainment being a consequence to anybody else.
All right. Let's see if we can just carry on from there then, if that's all good. Yeah, hopefully you feel like that answers your question. Dane Snyder says, the mindset that caring for children is a burden shows how selfish and anti-family feminism is. I was the main caregiver for 5 kids, not a burden.
I mean, again, that's a long argument about the word burden. So I don't think you want to hear that
again. Fair enough. I do know when changing diapers and there was a significant amount of pressure behind there, and walls got painted. That I don't know if you call it a burden, but I felt like maybe I was marching to Mount Doom. It felt like a burden, Mr. Frodo, that's for sure. All right. Dane Snyder says, my wife of 34 years and I have raised 5 together. So this is the same super chatter, just expounding here. So she was a refinery mechanic for nearly 20 years of that, and I was self-employed. So I was the one mainly available 24/7. They weren't a burden. I do apologize, Dane Snyder. We are going to carry on because we've already answered a similar question as you just asked it. And also, we've kept our state guests for so long. Feminists say, children should go to mother because they're the nurturing parent. Also feminists. Children are a burden who sucked away the joy of my life and destroyed my body. Insanity.
2 false arguments in one. Okay, next.
Yeah, I mean, Dane Snyder, have you not heard the song Hips Don't Lie? I don't know how she got those, but anyways, no, I'm just joking. I'm just kidding, everybody. I'm gonna get absolutely roasted now. Ishmael03 says, a burden is an unwelcome responsibility, an obligation, which is what you have to your children, is a duty or requirement. A child is not a burden. Any thoughts, Jen, on this whole
I kind of feel like the burden thing was a response, or it came up in the context of whether kids were somehow tacitly bringing accountability forth for women, and then everything became sort of framed in terms of accountable, presumably to some burden, and I don't really accept that framing. Because like conventional semantics only goes so far. Like the only word we would really be right to think about redefining in a context like this would be the word accountability. So if we are defining burden, that's possibly several presuppositions away from accountability, which is the whole point of the debate. So that's all I had to say on that.
Awesome. Big League Drew says, what came first, the chicken or the egg?
According to my model, everything that's of that form would have come from something similar to that form. So the question is, like, when does it become a chicken? And the actual evolution event happens. The question there is like, well, when does something give birth to something that it's not hypothetically able to reproduce with, right? Give birth to something that's a different species or whatever we want to call it. So the way that would work is you'd have the old egg, which would give birth to a new chicken style organism. And so there'd always be a co-arising between chicken and egg, but that transformation into a new species would happen with old egg, new chicken, because there had been a transition to a more fit evolutionary state.
Gotcha. I was gonna say we can just move on from there, just because I don't think it's really relevant. But I'm pretty sure last I checked, what the scientists are saying, and you can dispute with the scientists, but I'm pretty sure what they're saying is the egg came long before the chicken as a development, and then the animal known as the chicken would develop later on. But you can look into that and come up with your own arguments. But that is what I think is the current thing, because I'm just looking at it right now, because you know how it is. Gilbert Guzman says, repeat again. Okay. Gilbert Guzman says, Barokies, LMAO. Okay. Takes one at no one, I guess. Gilbert Guzman says, yeah, but speak sounds like dummies. Okay. We're getting some eyebrow stuff here. I'm sorry, Gilbert Guzman, but you're making a lot of criticisms. I mean, I'm glad though. I'm glad that these are our final super chats, because I got a new Vox amp earlier today, and I just want to go play with it. It's very late here, but I've got a little quiet space, and I'm gonna go do that in just 2 seconds. Thanks to Gilbert Guzman for your great super chats. I was gonna say great super chats. He said, y'all's sound weak. I almost said garbage, but I meant to say great. Gilbert Guzman says, y'all's sound weak once again. All right. Be gone with you, foul demon dog. Say bye. All right. Goodbye. We're going to let the speakers have 1 minute to close their thoughts. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Dialogue Always for your first closing as my moderation goes. Thank you so much for coming out to Modern Day Debate. Yeah, things were a little lower toned than sometimes here at Modern Day Debate, but I feel like it was an interesting and fun discussion. We went a little later than we planned to. Thank you so much for your patience. So go ahead, their dialogue when you're ready.
So I think my final argument would be that we got kind of hung up on 1 or 2 aspects, and that unfortunately derailed the entire conversation. But my initial point, I believe, still stands, that in most of these arguments, the accountability should be the accountability for women. Women are taking accountability based on the accountability that they are asked to take. So you cannot tell somebody to take accountability for something they're not being asked by society to take. So society has to ask for more. If society asks for more, then women would act appropriately, or women would respond appropriately. But since society's not asking for that, you can't really claim that they're not picking up accountability, as opposed to how society looks at men and how, I think that's just my full argument.
Got to turn on my preamp. All right. Thank you so much. Last thoughts over to you, Jen. Thanks so much, Dialogue Always, for your closing statement. Over to you, Jen, for your closing thoughts.
Thanks for having me. It's been a great debate. Appreciate coming on the show. I guess I agree with Dialogue Always there on the wrap up. Like it was interesting, but unfortunately we went down too many rabbit holes, but I like it. So because it's an opportunity to do it better next time. And maybe this is a cool topic that we can actually get somewhere with. So yeah. I don't know if it's possible to share a link to my after show in the chat if people are interested. Like, is that possible? If I just put it in the chat?
Yeah, you can share it in the chat. I know that I would share it to the YouTube chat.
I can't share it because I don't have a mod. So I think it's only mods that can share links.
Oh, okay.
So I would share it.
Oh, okay. All right. I could probably put that in the chat.
Thanks.
I will put it in the chat. But I will say that I am biased. I am biased because Max is always helping us out, and he's got an after show as well. So I don't know if you want to link up with him as well there, Jennifer, and just kind of like
we'll check it out. If he wants to merge streams, we can. We'll see how it goes. It's a lot later than I thought it would be, so we'll see.
All right.
Who knows?
Awesome. Well, thanks to both of you for coming out. It's been a lot of fun. We're going to close out a Modern Day Debate. Yeah. Let's just see here. No, we don't have any more questions. Brokies LMAO.
Oh yeah, I wanted to say one thing. I'd love to talk to you again, Dialogue, always, because I do think you have a lot of cool stuff to say, and we didn't really get enough of a chance to go into it. So hopefully we can do that again.
Sam, it would be interesting. I do kind of feel bummed that a lot of it flew off the rails, and we ran into some very interesting brick walls. But hopefully the next conversation will be a bit more structural, you know?
Yeah, no, I agree with you guys that sometimes it's great to have the full open panel just to get lots of different thoughts. But sometimes at the end of the day, all we really take away from this is cave titties. Thanks, industrial nerd, for that. Yeah, no, we I think we found those as humans. We've been doing this for some time. Call us veterans. All right, thanks everybody. We appreciate you. Everybody hit like and subscribe. We'll see you next time. And yeah, I got some new jams for you here soon, but here, have some old jams because I'm lazy and I'm just not going to update anything because I'm POS. Good night. Time, all of my life, living in a world of aggression, tyranny's mixed with self-oppression. What am I to do but tear away when I'm boiling at the top? Try to find a way to fight the fire, smart to rap from the minds of liars, call the shots as you bow your heads, and the march never stops. The stars could be free, but this insanity bends you right by the knee. Running in circles now for something that can't be found. And I bet as you hit the wall, the rain starts to fall. You can run away, sing a tune that's true. I'll be beside you. Who's the one that holds no time for today. You prayed away, the world would be untrue. I will rise against you. Until they're gone, nothing can matter at all. Insanity bends you right by the nail. Running in circles now for something that can't be found. Out of breath, smash the wall. The water consumed all. You prayed away that the world would be untrue as it rose against you. Did you think it would always be for free? Now sit back, watch it burn, burn, burn for all eternity.